Well, hello and happy Thursday. That means it's time for another open mic. Getting started a little bit early tonight. So let me go ahead and introduce my guest for tonight, Nagirdnal. Hello.
How's it going, everybody?
Welcome. And thank you for joining me tonight. We've been on a couple panel streams together so far, but haven't had a chance to talk one-on-one. So I like getting a chance to talk one-on-one with people and just find out about their history in gaming, what what kind of games they're into, and just it's open mic, so go wherever the conversation takes us. So glad we could get a chance to chat.
Yeah.
So
I grew up a gamer, so it'll be fun.
This is something I just noticed the other day, that Restream doesn't pick up the chat until you go live. So if people are chatting before the stream, you have to actually go to the stream like outside of Restream. And I see that Isaac556 is already in chat saying, just a reminder that Nagirdnal is a fig.
Yeah, it's not surprising from the guy who has
What's
pictures of
up,
me saved
Isaac?
on his phone, but that's okay.
Good to see you, and hope you hang around and enjoy. So let's see here. I'll go ahead and let's see what to start with. A good thing I always like to start with is, what have you been playing lately, or have you? So every once in a while I ask that, and they're like, life has been too busy, I haven't played anything lately. So yeah, curious if you have been playing anything. What have you been playing? Tell us a little bit about it. Positives, negatives, anything you want to say.
Yeah, I actually just started. Well, not the first time, but I just started playing Pal World on PS5. That just came out like two days ago or yesterday or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna go live yesterday, and it didn't.
I didn't realize that wasn't on. So that was like a timed exclusive on Xbox then? Oh, Xbox and PC, I guess.
It was. Yeah, like Steam and Game Pass. I think it was on. Yeah, it was on PS5 for a while.
It just launched on PlayStation.
Yeah, so I started playing that and
okay,
enjoying it. I mean, I liked it the first time, but for some reason I never really finished it, but I really wanted to. And I guess they have added a lot of stuff. I've noticed some new upgrades already. Like there's like a poison bow I don't think was in the game. Some other stuff, but they also screwed some stuff up. Like now when I'm building my staircase, I can see it. Like if I have a staircase on the second floor of my house, I can see it poking through the floor. It's like
it clips through the wall.
Yeah, but it didn't do that on PC, so no idea why. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Okay, so it just came to PlayStation, but you've already played it previously on other platforms?
I played it but never beat it. Yeah, I had it on Steam. Actually, I had it on Steam, and then I got Game Pass just to play with my friend because he doesn't have like a PC to play it on, so he only had it on Xbox. So I ended up buying it technically twice, now 3 times. And I still haven't finished it once. I just don't like gaming on my laptop, even though I can use my PlayStation controller on my laptop and play it just the same way. I don't know. It's different to me.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I from what I've gathered, you're mainly a PlayStation guy, is that right?
Well, mainly a console guy.
Okay, because I've been building a Steam library since the PC I'm on. I've had for just about a year now. I think I got it running just about this time last year. Prior to that,
nice.
My previous PC, which is this one right here, I had for about 12 years, and I got it with, and it still runs great, but I never got it with the intention of gaming, so I didn't really have any PC games. But I've been building up my Steam library over the last year. But mainly, I'm an Xbox guy. That's kind of why everything is black and green. That, and also because The Matrix. Obviously that's where I get my inspiration from. It's my favorite movie of all time. I finally got to see it in theaters last week for the first time. That was awesome for the
man. I heard about that like a couple days ago. I was like, damn it, I wish I went and saw that. I love that movie. I've watched that movie countless times.
Yeah,
easily one of my favorites.
I never got to see it in theaters originally because I was too young at the time. I had to beg my mom to rent it.
I saw it in theaters either.
When I think I was still in middle school, but I begged my mom to rent it, and she's like, "Okay, but if there's anything I don't like, we're turning it off." And so I got to see it because all my friends were like, "Oh, the movie was so good."
Still is.
Yeah, and it's aged so well. Like, it's funny how much better it looks than movies that came out. Because another Keanu Reeves movie that came out in, I think it was '96, only 3 years prior, was Johnny Mnemonic, and that movie looked,
Never seen it.
yeah, it was not great.
No.
It came out in the '80s, and it only came out I'm pretty sure it was like 3 years before The Matrix, and The Matrix still looks like it could have been made today because it just looks
Matrix was
just
like
aged so well. It was 99.
99?
It was March of '99, so it just passed its 25th anniversary, which is nuts.
Nice.
But yeah, it was in theaters last week for a couple days as a late 25th anniversary, and I saw it because who made a video about it? I think it was Pops made a video about it, and that's the only reason why I knew about it. And so I went and looked into it, and I'm like, I am absolutely going. I'll go by myself if I have to.
would have went. I never go to the movies, but I would have went and seen that.
I think that was the first time I've gone to the theater since Mission Impossible last summer, Dead Reckoning. So I've not been to the theater much.
It's like I think it was like Godzilla vs Kong or something.
Okay.
It's like a few years ago.
Yeah, the last Godzilla movie I saw was Godzilla 2014, so I haven't followed the franchise since then.
2014.
The one with
Is that Matthew Broderick?
No, that was 98.
Oh, okay.
That was Godzilla 98. No, 2014 was the one with Aaron Taylor Johnson, a guy who was Kick-Ass, and Quicksilver in the MCU, although he was introduced and died in Age of Ultron. And then
I don't think I saw that one.
Walter White from Breaking Bad. Bryan Cranston. He was in it as well. So that's the last Godzilla movie I saw.
Sound familiar. The one I saw had Millie Bobby Brown, and she might have been the only famous person in it.
Okay, yeah, that's one of the more recent ones. I haven't seen any of those, but yeah, yeah, that's where Neo thing comes from. The Matrix, black and green. It goes well with Xbox being black and green as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Xbox is my thing, and I prefer to play. Like, if a game exists on Xbox, that's where I'm going to play it. I'll get it on my PC if it doesn't exist on Xbox, or maybe if it's a game I really like and I want to have it on another platform, then I'll buy it on PC as well. But I was just talking to a couple. So I was watching the. I don't remember if you were on it because I was just listening to it. I wasn't actually watching it while it was going on. But I know Alec, ABF, and a couple other guys streamed the State of Play the other day. Were you on that one?
Oh yeah, I was on there.
Okay, because I was just kind of had it on, was listening to it while I was doing other stuff, and at the end of the stream, I saw Nerd Slap was in chat, and he said something about a game that he has and he likes, but doesn't have anyone to play with. And so
Power World, I believe.
And I DM'd him because I was like, "What game were you talking about?" Because I thought he was talking about Ghost of Tsushima. Because I was like, I'll play Ghost of Tsushima with you. But he's like, no, I was talking about Power World. I was like, oh, well, let me get you in touch with someone who I've had on open mic before, who is a big fan of Power World. So I got them connected. So I was
on Steam though, because I don't know if it's. I don't think it's crossplay.
Thing is, I don't know if it's crossplay. So
I don't think it is.
I'd have to look into it. So maybe
that was
obviously a pointless
between
connection.
like Steam and Xbox. Oh, no, it wasn't crossplay. That's why I had to get Game Pass. But I don't know about now. Probably not.
Okay.
I never heard about anything.
Going to be my next question. But I haven't actually looked into it to see if it is crossplay. But that could have been a pointless connection if they are on different platforms. But if I'm assuming Nerd Slap is someone that you either played Power World with or maybe are going to.
I would if it's crossplay. I think he said he has it on Steam. And like I said, I don't know, stopped playing it.
Okay.
I don't even know why. But I don't know, something about the trophy system, and even like on Xbox with the achievements, like kind of keeps me like striving to beat games, even if I start to get bored.
Yes, I am an achievement hunter and a completionist to my detriment. There will be often times where I continue playing a game long past it has reached the end of its enjoyment because I want to get that completion. And people are like, "Why do you do that?" And I'm like, "Because I'm a completionist and I have to."
Yeah,
there are definitely games that I've given up on. I'm like, I will never get the completion, but I try to do as much as I can. Like the Halo Master Chief Collection, I will never get 100%, but I've got like The main reason why is because there's an achievement for beating each of, let's see here, it's got Halos 1 through 4 in it, and it's got ODST, and it's got Reach. So it's got 6 Halo games in it, and each one has an achievement for the lasso run. Do you know about lasso?
That's one. Is that one of the skulls? Or is
Yeah,
it
so
all of the skulls?
yeah, so lasso is the acronym for legendary all skulls on. So you got to play it on the hardest difficulty with
That's
all the
right. All
ridiculously difficult
skulls.
modifiers. They're
Yeah, that
different
would
in
be
each of the
impossible.
Halo games, but they do things like turn off your HUD. You pick up half the ammo. The only
Yep.
way to restore your health is by meleeing. So
Yep.
it's ridiculous. So I will never do that. But props to my buddy dude 1286. He's got
I
the
beat
complete
I beat the
in
first
master.
3 legendary solo, but not with all the skulls on. That's wild. That would take so long. It takes so long just to do it with no skulls on. It's like
And the worst part,
crazy.
yeah, I've beaten them all solo on legendary, but with all the skulls on, it's just a completely different ball game. If nothing else except for the one skull called Iron, because if you're playing solo and you have the Iron skull on and you die, you have to restart the entire level.
Oh god. Yeah.
So if you are going to go for it, definitely do it in co-op, because instead of restarting the level, because
Mm-hmm.
normally
Yeah, you can cheese it.
one person, or as long as not all, if you're playing 4-player co-op, all but one person can die, and if they make it to the next, like make it through the fight, the others will
Mm-hmm.
respawn. The Iron
That's sick.
Skull makes it so if any one person dies, you all have to restart the last checkpoint.
Oh no.
So
Oh, checkpoint. Yeah,
the
okay.
last
That's
checkpoint, so you
so
don't have to start
bad.
the whole level over again. So if you're going to go
Yeah.
for the lasso, you want to do it in co-op, but I'm still never even going to bother with that. But my buddy dude, he's got the completion in Master Chief Collection, so shout out to him.
That's crazy. Yeah, shout out.
But Vanquish is here in chat saying my wife got Power World on PS5 and I could not join from PC. Don't know why. So it sounds
No
like
crossplay.
it must not be crossplay. So good to see you, Vanquish. Hope
Or
you're doing good tonight.
cross plat. They call it cross plat now, I guess.
Yeah.
Platform.
It's almost like you
It's the same thing.
expect games that exist on multiple platforms to have crossplay now, but a
Yeah.
lot of them don't. So, and with how popular Power World is, or was at least, I don't know if it's as popular as it was when it first launched.
No, I'm
But
sure it's not.
I think it's still a pretty well played game if you went and found like the numbers. But that's a big missed opportunity for how popular that game is again, especially with it launching on PS5, given another boost in its life cycle. If it's cross-played, it allow people to play, cross-platform.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, it didn't even launch crossplay between Xbox and Steam or what do they call it? Game Pass?
Game Pass, yeah.
Game Pass, what I
I
play
know
it
it is
on.
on Game
It's
Pass,
like,
and I know it's on Xbox and PC, but yeah, I don't know if that version is even cross-play with Steam.
no, it's not, because I couldn't join my friend.
Oh, what a bummer. And then another game that was recent that was a huge missed opportunity was that Battlefront remaster collection.
Yeah, that's the first game I pre-ordered in years, and of course I got burned so bad. I played it like once; it was garbage.
Yeah, that was the least of its problems. But if they had nailed it and not had all the technical problems, and it was crossplay, that could have been a huge, huge seller. And I'm sure a lot of people will be playing it forever, because a lot of people, I know that's like one of their fate. We've had a couple of episodes of Top 5.
I love that game. I got legendary on every single character in that game. You get like all the nice weapons and shit. Like I played thousands of hours of that game. And you're now
Nice.
playing, like, for some reason you upgraded the game and now you can't even fly around an AT-AT and take it down. It's like the game's so broken.
Oh, that's a disappointment. I never
Actually,
really
what we
played it
used to
much.
do was we would solo the snow speeder, switch to the thing, hook it, switch back to the flight seat, and then fly around it. Just like ruin everyone's day. But
Yeah, I never played much of Battlefront, but I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I played a lot of Star
hardcore.
Wars games, and we've had a couple episodes of Top 5 where we've ranked our Star Wars games, and Battlefront is usually at the top there. I think right now Battlefront is in number 1 because it's gotten so many people's favorite Star Wars game.
Yeah, the first one or second one?
I think it's the second one.
Yeah, it had more to do. See, the only thing I liked more about the first one was there was a setting where you could like turn off reinforcements, and you could literally have it like if you're playing you and your friend, like you can be the last 2 people alive, and then try to take on the entire other team. You just have to go run around and kill all your teammates, make sure the reinforcements are off, and then last man standing.
I think someone was just telling me about that recently, that there is something that is better about the first one, but most everyone
There's probably
definitely
other
likes
stuff.
the second one better. You
Oh
know,
god,
obviously talking
they
about the
had really
original.
sick campaigns too. Like you play as the 501st, and you play as I think you even play as like Anakin at points during that Vader. It's really sick.
Yeah,
Too bad they screwed it up so bad. I can't even play it now.
and the fact that Battlefront 3 never happened either. I know
Well,
that
yeah,
would
they
have
tried
been
to
huge.
reboot the whole series, and those games are terrible compared to
They definitely launched in
at
a
least the
bad
second
state,
one.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
They have, as it goes for like a playable game. I did play Battlefront 2, like the EA Battlefront 2 a bit, because my friends were into it, so I
Yeah,
played
that's
it.
the
And
one.
but I played it after all the microtransaction
Was that
controversy, and that was all patched out, and it was a
Oh yeah,
pretty
I
good
played a
game.
bit of that. Yeah, that's still like the best Battlefront game out right now as far as graphics and stuff. It's still kind of like like just the movement, the way you move and stuff is still pretty stiff, but I guess it's kind of the style of the game. That's how they kind of were. It's still fun. I would totally play it. If other people were playing it.
Yeah, I had
Like sometimes
quite a bit of
American
fun
Ninja
with it.
plays it, and I've joined him.
Oh, I've not talked to him before, but I have seen him around here
Oh,
and
American
there.
Ninja.
Yeah, I think I saw him on a panel I was watching.
I don't know if
But
he's done any panel streams.
maybe I just saw the name in chat, 'cause I know I've seen that name.
Probably. Yeah, he's been
That,
around.
that's probably what it was. It's probably in chat. But
Yeah, he's cool.
Jay is here as well. What's up, Nerd Takes? Good to see you,
Hey,
man.
Nerd Takes.
Good evening. Yeah, he's been on a couple of our streams as well. But Pal World. So was I mean, there's the whole. I do have to admit that I was a bit wrong, because when Pal World launched earlier this year, I was on a stream. It might have been off the hip. I don't remember. But I was on a stream and we were talking about the whole like Pal World getting sued by Nintendo for. And I was like, Nintendo knows this game was happening. If they were going to sue, they would have done it by now. And that was, right when the game launched. And now, months after it's out, now they're actually filing a lawsuit. So I was definitely wrong
Yeah,
in
that's
that
crazy.
regard. But I don't think that they've got standing. But anyways, where I was going with that is, were you looking forward to Pal World since it announced, or was that like once it came out, then you discovered it, or were you really looking forward to it? And if you were, what was it, because of a past history with Pokemon?
Yeah, I used to play a lot of Pokemon on Game Boy and stuff, and I still have a few of the cards. But and also there was a Game Boy game called Pokemon the Trading Card Game where you play as a kid that goes around and collects the real life cards in the game, and then you go and battle like when you go to a gym and battle somebody like you're playing against their deck. That game was actually really sick too.
Video game about a trading
Trading
card
card
game.
game. Yeah,
That's so
I
meta.
know. I know. It was a really sick game. I wish I still had that. But yeah, with Power World, I really didn't know about it until it like like not long before it came out. It's like heard people started saying stuff. Oh, this is Pokemon the way it should be, or something. I'm like, okay. And I
Okay,
saw some trailers for it, and I was like, all right, I'll try this out. It looks fun. Because I don't have I just don't have a Nintendo Switch or anything to play. I do
yeah, I
have a
didn't.
Wii. I have a Wii that's hacked with homebrew. I don't even know if it still works anymore, but I could play like any game. There was like Game Boy games, GameCube games, but I just haven't
Nice.
used it in years.
Yeah, my Switch, I don't even have the capability of hooking it up to any of my TVs anymore, since none of them have the old, like red, yellow, and white
Oh, really?
plugs.
Yeah,
I'd
I don't
have
even
to
know if
get
this TV has it.
one of the adapters in order to plug it into an HDMI. But I did just get a Switch finally earlier this year, secondhand, because I was doing some traveling for work. So I finally
Nice.
got around to playing. I wouldn't say the only reason, but like one of the main reasons I've been wanting one is because Metroidvania is like my genre, and so I'm a huge fan of Metroid. It's it's my second favorite franchise. And I'd never gotten to play Dread yet because and everyone's like, "What'd
Jeremy
you think
talks about it
about
all the
Dread?"
time.
And I was like, I haven't played it yet since I don't have a Switch. So I had played basically everything except for that one. So I finally got a chance to play it, and I also got to play Metroid Prime Remastered, and that was great too.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely want to try those games out someday. I plan on getting the next Switch, Super Switch.
That's what I don't care what anyone says. I'm calling it Super Switch because that's way better than Switch 2.
Why not? Why? Yeah, why Switch 2? That sounds terrible.
Yeah,
When was the last time they even named anything 2?
Yeah,
like that they never have. It's like Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advanced.
the closest thing
Game
was
Boy.
the Nintendo 64, but that's not because it was a sequel to the Nintendo 63.
Right.
Yeah, and the perfect example was there was
weird.
the NES and then there was the Super NES. We got the Switch and the
Yeah,
Super
I don't
Switch.
understand
It
why.
just makes sense.
I know a lot of Nintendo people that are like, just call it the Switch 2. Like, why would they do that?
Yeah, I'm all on board the Super Switch team. Yeah, I was planning on waiting till the Super Switch came out, and because I'm assuming it's got to be backwards compatible. Because if it's not, that's going to be a giant slap in the face to everyone.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, most of the games are on like a digital market that are optimized for it anyway. So like all Nintendo 64 games, it has like its own market. There's like the Game Boy Advance market and stuff like that. As far as I know. I know it has N64 games. I don't know about Game Boy games.
Yeah, I know it's got all those different apps
Sure, it
that
has
you
GameCube.
can play those games through the Nintendo Online. I don't know what the Nintendo Online Pass is called because I don't have it, but yeah, they've got it for a lot of their older platforms, if not all of them. But obviously, it doesn't have every game on those consoles, but it does have a lot of the big ones. So. But yeah, I'm assuming that Super Switch has to be backwards compatible, and I was planning on waiting to then and to get it, and but just worked out that I got it earlier this year, secondhand for a really great deal with a couple of great games. So
yeah, I would definitely hop on that if I found it for like a reasonable price. Like I think they're still $300.
Yeah, I got it in basically brand new condition with Metroid Prime Remastered. I think for like $175, maybe $200. So I was like, yeah, it's worth it, even if I only have it for a year before the Super Switch comes out. But now that I've got it, I probably wouldn't get the Super Switch on release. I'd probably, because I'm very frugal. I usually don't buy I buy a lot of games, but I rarely ever buy games until they're like 50% off with all the DLC included. So I'm patient. I can wait.
That's the way to go.
So, and we also got another friendly face in chat. Christian Frades is here. What's up,
How's
Christian?
it going?
Good evening, buddy. Hope you're doing well. But okay, so you were a fan of Pokemon back in the day.
Oh yeah, big time. Show, the cards, the games, like I said, and but obviously Power World's even more appealing because it's not just the aspect of running around capturing pals and making them fight each other, but you can also kill them and eat them and make their wool into cloth and create stuff out of that.
It's got a whole building mechanic too, right?
Oh yeah, and you have to like feed yourself. You like have to find pals to kill and eat because you'll starve and you'll go down to like 1 health. If you're like if your food meter runs out, you like go down. It's kind of like Minecraft. I think Minecraft just goes down to like half a heart if you don't eat anything. But yeah, so it's like Minecraft. It's Pokemon. It's kind of has like a Fortnite kind of look to it.
Yes, it looks like a hybrid of a bunch of different games.
There's a lot of cool stuff. Like one of the first things they tell you to make is a parachute, so you can just jump off a cliff and like soar down. But it takes stamina. So if you do it at too high of a height, then you fall and you die anyway. So
just like
and you can climb up anything.
Breath of the Wild kind of started that trend.
Yeah.
At least as far as I know, that was the first time I
mix of
really
that
saw it,
too.
and they really popularized it. If Breath of the Wild wasn't the first to do it, it definitely popularized the climb anything and glide. You know, where a lot of your movement was all based on stamina.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, we got Yinu in the chat who showed up in just recently. So, good to see you again, Yinu. Nintendo got outclassed by Power World, which is why they are suing.
Yeah,
they're salty.
Some of the pals do look almost exactly like Pokemon. They
Yeah,
flew a little too close to the sun. They could have Give it a
I
try.
was watching a video just earlier today. I want to say it was from Game Ranks, talking about that because when it first launched, people were talking about Nintendo's going to sue them over copyright. But the video I was watching today was saying that the lawsuit isn't over copyright; it's over patent infringement. So I don't know if that's accurate or
That
not.
sounds familiar.
But that's kind of what I heard is it's actually a completely different type of case. But
Oh well, yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that just like the way courts and laws work in Japan is completely different than it is here. So
yeah, that's another question is like when you got like a company in one country suing a company in another country, where does the lawsuit take place?
yeah, but
I have
in this
no idea.
case, Power World's made by a Japanese company, so it's like, and I think that their like headquarters is right down the road from Nintendo or something. It's like pretty close by, and
Okay,
it's a
I did
small
not know
country.
that.
So
I thought
yeah,
that they were
so the
here.
case is going to be they'll have to get some kind of translator to figure out what they're even debating. Yeah, copyright. Some people were saying maybe it's like the fact that the copyright could say something like you throw a sphere at an animal and it captures it. Like they may have to change the sphere into a cube or something in an update.
Yeah, it's like being very nitpicky over like minor details. Like that's too close to ours.
They didn't even make that much money off of Power World, but Nintendo doesn't care if you don't make any money and you're trying to share their stuff for free. It's like they're like, we want money.
Yeah, Nintendo is a real stickler for that. I often say Nintendo's always going to Nintendo. I remember they even shut down a Smash Bros tournament one time,
Mm.
and I don't even think there was any money involved. It was just
I
people were
mean,
having a Smash Bros tournament, and they sent them a cease and desist. It's like, God, can you
said
be
no.
any more freaking assholes?
Right. That's
They're like, no,
well,
you cannot have fun. Only in the way that we deem okay.
that's crazy. I don't know why they would do something.
So, but I was not a Pokemon person, but I do know that it is one of, if not the most profitable video game IP of all time. I know
Gotta
it's
be.
up there if it's not. Uh, but which Pokemon game did you start with?
I think the first one, it was either red or blue, but I want to say
Okay.
I got red first. Oh, I got them like probably just a couple years apart.
Yeah, because I was just talking. I just
So
had
they're
someone
basically the
on.
same game, but one of them has different Pokemon than the other. Like they have a lot of Pokemon that are the same, but there's also a bunch that are only in red or only in blue. And then
Yeah, there's some that
eventually,
are in both, and there's some that are only in one or the other. But like the game
you would
map,
have
from what I
to,
hear, is the
yeah,
same in both.
yep, yeah, same exact map.
Uh,
And then yeah, you have to like trade. They had these
Yeah, the
cords
link
that would like
cable.
link, yeah, the link cables. You had to trade Pokemon to get them to evolve and stuff. So yeah, they made it pretty difficult to collect all 150. I don't think I ever did, even on Pokemon Yellow, which is a combination of both. Like it has every Pokemon in the game, and
Okay.
Pikachu is your starting main character, just like in the show. And, but yeah, played the
Yeah.
shit out of it.
Um. Oh yeah, the only time I ever used a link cable was not for Pokemon. It was to play Tetris. One of our back in high school when we had away games. One of the guys on our soccer team, he had 2 Game Boys and a link cable and 2 copies of
Nice.
Tetris. So we'd always pass it around playing Tetris versus on the bus on the way to wherever we were going. But
That's awesome.
the
Those were the days.
Yeah, I was just talking to someone recently about Pokemon. I think it was Carl, my buddy Carl of RNG, because he's a huge Pokemon fan. He was actually sponsored to play the Pokemon TCG for a couple years.
Oh, nice.
I think it was him that I was asking about, first Pokemon game and which starter did you pick? So, if red, well, I guess the starters in each game are the same regardless, right?
Yeah, Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur. I would always go with Charmander.
Charmander. Okay, because I was saying if I had played it back then, I the main reason why is I've never liked turn-based RPGs, so I was never into Pokemon. But if I was, Charmander probably would have been my starter as well. But I heard that Charmander is actually the hardest one to start with because the first two gyms are like strong against fire or something like that.
Yeah, probably. I think the first two are rock and water, so not the strongest. Whereas if you chose Bulbasaur, it'd actually be strong against both, probably. Can't remember if water is weak to grass, but in any case, whenever you pick one, your rival picks whichever one is like the stronger against. So you have to make sure you level up big time before you fight him and kick his ass. You can name your rival whatever you want and always name him something bad.
Yeah. I was listening to one of Carl's streams recently because he was talking to someone about Pokemon and he was asking them about because I didn't know that you could name your rival and they're talking about like what do you name your rival. So did you have a name for your rival?
I'm sure I had a few. I think I called him Ass Hat at one point. Probably just bad names.
Yeah, because he was talking. Yeah, that's what they were talking about, like the normal names and then like the insult names. Like that's great.
Oh, yeah, I don't think he ever had a normal name in my game.
So okay. Well then, if you were a Pokemon kid, did that mean that you were a Nintendo kid?
I
What was your
personally
first?
didn't have the consoles. Like I started on Sega Genesis, my first
Okay,
console ever.
that was gonna be my next
Then I went
question. What was your
to
first console?
PlayStation, PS2, then Xbox, Xbox
360.
360, then however many of those I had.
Oh, because of the Red
Xbox
Ring.
360 Elite, yeah. Most
How
of the
many
Elite
Red Rings did you
consoles.
have?
Probably, I want to say just two, because I don't remember buying more than like one after. Because you like send your Xbox in when it happened, and then they would send you an Xbox back, I guess.
Yeah,
I
I
just
had
don't
3 Red
remember.
Rings, so yeah, I had to send it in, and I never did take note of like what the serial number is or anything, so I don't know
No,
if I got the same one back or not.
right.
Um, I so I don't know, but they at no cost they'd send you the box, you pack it up and send it back, and then they'd send you either a repaired version of yours or another one, and I did that 3 times, and then by the time my third one was almost out, that's when the 360S, which I saw that you liked my tweet right before we
Yeah,
went
I saw
live
that one.
on best design, like physically designed console. The 360S
Yeah,
was top tier.
I had a Halo 4 version of that.
Nice. Yeah, it's so sleek.
That was sick. Because that was like translucent. It was like you could see through it, you could see the lights, and
Oh,
it
I don't
made
think I've ever
sound.
seen that one.
Oh, you should look that up. It's so sick. And the controller too. Actually, still have the controller. Well, I had two of the controllers. Now I only have the back of this one,
Oh, yeah,
which is
that's another
on.
thing I was going to ask you about at some
This is
point.
the Halo 4. This is the front of it
Okay, that's
for
a
the
pretty
most
dope looking
part.
controller.
And it has Halo 4 on the bottom.
Okay. Because I am looking at a 360 Halo 4. It doesn't look translucent, but it does look like gray and blue. Is
Well,
that
this one. Maybe I was just thinking of this because you can
okay?
see
It
right
yeah, that's the
through this.
controller I'm looking at in this picture, so it's probably
Uh,
that one. But yeah, that's just such a sleek looking design.
yeah, it
So that
made like a noise from the game when you turned it on too. I don't remember what it was.
yeah, and that's
Man, they
the
made a ton of those. They had like Modern Warfare 3 ones. They had all sorts of cool consoles like themed consoles back then.
yes. So by the time my third original 360 was about to red ring, because I could tell it was heading in that direction, the 360S was out. And so I traded it in before it died for the 360S, and I've still got that to this day, and it runs great. So
Nice.
that whatever it was that caused that red ring issue, they definitely fixed in that version.
Oh yeah. That one. Yeah, that one never had an issue with me.
So I'm assuming after the 360, you went back to PlayStation.
Yeah. After that 360S there. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I just wasn't interested in
Understandable. It was tough being an
There wasn't
Xbox
really any
fan
games coming out and all
after
this
the
stuff. There was
360 too.
localization blocking and all sorts of weird stuff. I remember seeing a commercial where it was like making fun of the Xbox One. It was like Exhibit from Pimp Your Ride. He's like, yo, dog, we put a TV inside of your Xbox so you can watch TV on your gaming console. I was like, I don't need that. Thanks, but I don't need it.
Yep, I often talk about how disappointing E3 2013 was for Xbox, because that's when everything on their, because they were talking about, that's when they announced the Xbox One, and that's when it was all about like all this multimedia stuff and TV and stuff. It's like, what about the games? And of course, there was the the whole online only. You have to check in every 24 hours, and
And the Kinect.
The Kinect was a built-in requirement.
They said it
Yeah.
was, and then somehow they soft patched that, and they're like, oh no, it's not.
Yeah, they're like, it has to have it, and then like a year later, they're like, okay, I guess we don't have to do it anymore. And that's when I finally got upgraded to an Xbox One, is when they dropped the Kinect requirement.
I did own an Xbox One for a little bit because it came with this TV that I bought.
The Xbox came with the TV, not the other way around.
Yeah, in my opinion, and it came with a Kinect too, but I sold it to somebody out in the parking lot. I was like, I don't want that. I think I only ever played like Master Chief Collection on it a little bit.
That's
I
funny.
don't remember even buying anything, but I just wanted the TV, and it was like such a cheap. I think it was like $800 for both. And this TV, I've had it for years. God, that Best Buy's not even there anymore.
That's a great deal. Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
But yeah, it was tough being an Xbox defender after that, because Microsoft was not giving us much ammo to defend it with.
Right.
So I saw that your controller there was not in the greatest shape. I've heard that you have a reputation.
I guess just because I showed off a couple broken controller. Who hasn't broken a controller in their life?
I have a couple of 360 controllers where the top half and the bottom half have split, so I could like actually like pull it open and see inside, but it still functions.
Oh,
So,
I believe it. They lasted.
So I'm
I
kind of there with
those
you.
ones. Those ones have been complete. It literally could take this entire controller apart and put it back together, no problem. It's a Halo back.
Does that still work?
Tomb Raider front. Oh yeah, this actually works better than the other one. All these buttons work on.
That's hilarious that it still works.
You can like see inside of there.
But yeah, I've never broken it to that degree where I can, part of it's broken off, but that's funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I just crunch them like this. But that motherboard in there is sharp. Like,
you hurt yourself with it. Yeah, I definitely understand the feeling. I just started last week on Wednesdays doing Dark Souls, and it's making me want to do that with my controller. But I'm playing with my Elite controller, so I definitely can't do that.
No, I haven't broken any PS5 controllers yet. Actually, that PS4 controller. This one I took completely apart because it's actually. I replaced the back of this one because it was gray. It was like white and gray. So I just replaced the whole back of it. And this one was tricky because it has like a film connecting this touchpad to the back of the controller because there's a light back here. So that was tricky. You have to like take the faceplate up like over like this and flip it out. But yeah, that one works. The only problem with that is ever since I did that, it doesn't hold a charge very long.
Oh, bummer.
Then I have these. This Doom controller works just fine. I don't know if it'll fall out, but yeah, that's just a sticker that I put on it. But it came with the Doom.
It looks great.
That was a Doom Eternal. So yeah, my copy of Doom Eternal came out, and then this is a God of War controller that's completely busted. That one does not work so well anymore. But I don't play PlayStation 4 anymore anyway, so.
So, are you?
That's a God of War PlayStation 4 Pro.
Nice.
Shit looks nice, but now it's like paperweight. So.
Yeah, I love hack and slashes, but I've never owned a PlayStation, so I've never got to play any of the God of War games. So I do eventually want to figure out how to play them because I know PS3. I would have loved those ones.
That's what I did I bought a PS3 after PS4 just so I could play all the God of War games, and then because there's well, this has most of them. It's called God of War Saga Collection. It's like a
Okay.
two disc collection. It has
And that's for PS3.
yep PS3. It doesn't have all of. There's like at least. I think
Because I'd
there's
at least
one
want to
other
go through
game.
1, 2, and 3 is what I would mainly want to do.
Yeah, this has a couple of games that were like on the Vita, the PSP. I think they're actually really
Okay.
good games too. They're all of them are really sick.
Sweet. But I do have God of War 2018 since it's on Steam, but I haven't gotten around to playing it yet. Have you played that one?
What's that?
Did you play God of War 2018?
Oh yeah,
Is it as
and Ragnarok.
and Ragnarok?
Um,
What do you think of those two? 'Cause I've heard some.
the
I've heard that 2018 was great, but I've heard some mixed reviews on Ragnarok.
only thing I don't like about Ragnarok is like I don't know. I don't really like some of the acting in it. It's kind of I don't know. It's like too Hollywood. I guess is how I would put it. It's like. But other than that, like the combat and stuff is really sick in those games. From
'Cause I
like
think
comparing the Norse to the Greek, it's like I guess Greek is a little more interesting, cooler gods and stuff. But I don't know, crazier stuff kind of happened in the Greek ones. Like,
that's the
like
impression that I've gotten.
the God of War 2 opens up. That's probably my favorite one. Is God of War 2 has like the coolest puzzles and some of the coolest battles and stuff. Like right in the beginning, you're climbing up a statue of Artemis, I think. And it like comes to life, like she takes it over and you're like climbing up the inside of it, fighting it at the same time. It's wild, crazy stuff. Whereas in these ones, you're kind of just fighting gods that look like men.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird.
I basically everything I know about God of War is what I've learned from talking to people on here or like list videos that I've seen. And God of War 3, is that the one where I think the opening is you're fighting Cronus?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Is that right? That one, I saw a video of it, and like that does look like a pretty dope opening.
Yeah, God of War 3 is really sick in that like that game like pretty much every god or something like you fight is it Hermes? Is it the fast one?
Yes,
Can't
Hermes should
remember.
be the fast
You
one
like
based
fight him
on
at some point and you
my
take his
knowledge of
shoes
Greek
and then you can like
mythology.
fucking run mad fast and then you get wings at some point. Somebody's Icarus's wings, I think.
Okay.
Like throughout the game you collect all this cool stuff and then whoop Zeus's ass.
And then God of War Ragnarok, I think just launched on Steam this week.
Oh really?
Because I've been
What
hearing a
time is
lot
the
of.
opening boss in God of War 3? Is it?
Let's see here. I've heard a lot about it recently. Oh, yeah, September 19th, which was last Thursday. So it's been out for a week now. So I was like, I know I've heard a lot of people talk about God of War Ragnarok recently, and I was like, I think it's because it just launched on Steam. So I'm glad that a lot of the big PlayStation franchises are coming to Steam. So now they got a PC that can handle games. I can play them without actually having to shell out for an actual, PlayStation hardware.
Ascension?
So yeah, Christian Frades is full of knowledge. So he is saying that the Greek God of War games, in order, like chronologically, is Ascension, Chains of Olympus, then
That's
1,
how I
then
played them.
Ghosts of Sparta, then 2 and 3. Okay, I've heard of all of those. I just would have no idea what order they were in.
I didn't know it had a multiplayer. Ascension has a multiplayer mode. I didn't know that.
And did you know Kratos is guest character in PlayStation port for Mortal Kombat 9? I did not know that, but I believe Kratos was in one of the Soul Calibers. I think I'm not a fighting game person, so I don't know much about Mortal Kombat or Soul Calibur. But
could be. I remember playing 2 when I played whatever the most recent one was, 5, I think.
But he's saying Poseidon is the opening boss of God of War 3. Okay.
I haven't played those games in so long, but yeah, I got my PS3 right here next to me.
I haven't even played them, so I'm just going based on what I've seen from other people.
I got this thing specifically so I could stream from my PlayStation 3. It's like an HDMI splitter.
Yeah, because PlayStation
strips the HDCP, I think it's called.
Yeah, they've got some stupid thing built into their hardware that like prevents you from streaming it, which is super retarded.
Yeah, PS5 is just an option. You just go in and click turn off HDCP. And the only thing I can't really do is listen to Spotify through my PlayStation if I have that off. It said some other apps might not work, like probably video streaming apps probably wouldn't work because they wouldn't want, they wouldn't want you to stream 1,000 people a movie or something.
Yeah, understandable. And yeah, God of War Ascension has a multiplayer mode. I did not know that either, but like I said, I
That's
don't know much
crazy.
about it. Oh, okay, so I was right.
He is in Soul
Kratos was a guest character in Soul Calibur Broken Destiny. I've never
Broken
even heard of Broken
Destiny.
Destiny, but
Yeah,
like
somehow
I
you
said,
knew that.
I don't know Soul Calibur or Mortal Kombat games because I don't do fighting games. But I was
I
like,
love
I'm
Soul.
pretty
Soul
sure.
Calibur 2 was so sick on Xbox because you had Spawn.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know
Oh
that
no,
there
my God,
was
he's so sick.
some of the Soul Caliburs. Each platform had its own guest character. Like Xbox had Spawn. I think Tekken had Heihachi.
Yeah, actually from Tekken.
And then Nintendo, I think, had Link.
Though they've always had Yoshimitsu. He's like in every game, and he was from Tekken, unless Tekken borrowed him from Soul Calibur. I honestly don't know his origin.
Yeah.
I know
I
he's in
know the
every
name
Soul Calibur
Yoshimitsu,
game.
but I don't know anything about it.
He's like the really Japanesey guy with the sword, and his face would like turn. He had like 4 faces.
Okay.
Really
I don't even. I've
crazy
probably seen the
character.
character before just because I've seen
Oh
lots
yeah,
of videos about lots of different
I hated
franchises.
fighting him.
um, but given that I saw that you had a Doom Eternal controller, are you a
Hmm.
Doom Eternal lover like I am?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Played it. Might have only played it through all the way once because the last time I started playing it through, I was trying to get all the trophies, and then I realized it's probably not going to happen. I think there's like some multiplayer trophies that are just ridiculous,
Yeah,
and the multiplayer in that game sucks so bad. I can't believe it.
yeah. The multiplayer is not great. I grinded out the multiplayer achievements with a couple people where we were
I
all
thought I
working
did
together to get
too,
the
but then I was
multiplayer
looking
achievements.
through.
But I had left everything except for the I forget what the mode is called, but there's a mode where you actually have like 1-ups and lives and stuff, and you have
Mm,
to beat the base game with like 10 or 20 or more lives in your inventory. So I left that one dangling for a long time, and then each of the 2 DLCs also have an achievement for that, but since they're much shorter, it's like 5. But I had left those for a long time. But I finally went back, I think early this year, maybe late last year, and got those and finished off getting the completion in Doom Eternal. But
yeah, I want to, but at this point, I don't know.
I love that
I'm
game.
looking through my trophies right now. It looks like I have a ton that I still don't have for some reason. I
It's
can't look at
I'd ha- I'd,
Spawn
ha-
though.
I'd have to go back and look through games, but it's probably my favorite shooter in the last 10-ish years. I love
Yeah,
Doom Eternal.
first person shooter for sure.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people who are because I never played the classic Dooms until after I played Doom 2016.
Hmm.
So I don't have the nostalgia for the Doom franchise. Doom 2016 was my introduction to the franchise, but I know a lot of people who were,
Oh, Doom
classic Doom
3.
fans were
Doom
not.
3 is really good. That was on Xbox as well. That was like probably the best looking game on Xbox. I just remember like there was like huge veins and stuff, and you could like see it oozing. Like it just like looked so good on
It's
Xbox.
funny you mentioned that. I'll get to that in just a moment. But yeah, Doom 2016 was my intro to the franchise. But I think a lot of classic Doom people were not huge fans of Eternal,
Hmm.
and a
Like
lot of them say like it's a good game. It's just not a good Doom game, which I get. But I love Doom
I
Eternal.
don't know about that.
Um,
They're
but
wrong.
yeah,
That's okay.
Doom 3. I've never played it in its entirety. I played through uh probably the first few levels. So I probably put maybe about like 6 or so hours into it. Um and I think the last time I played it was like in 2020. Because it's one of those things where I played through a little bit of it and I'm like, I'll come back to it at sometime in the future and get back to it. I just haven't done that yet. But I literally booted it up for the first time just a couple hours ago
Oh,
for the
wow.
first time since 2020
I want to play
because
it again. Oh, it's
I'm
so sick.
currently working on I'm big on True Achievements, which is a website that takes like achievements. And because the developers decide how much a point value each achievement is worth,
Hmm.
and they're like that more difficult achievements should be worth more points. So they came up with this ratio formula, and so that it takes how many people played a game versus how many people have gotten that achievement to
Oh, nice,
determine the
nice.
ratio. So and then it multiplies whatever the gamer score value is times that ratio to give you your true achievement value. So more difficult achievements are worth a higher score than easier achievements.
Yeah.
And
It's the
it's
same
a
way on
great,
PlayStation.
yeah.
Like they have the trophy system. It's like bronze through platinum is if you
you
get
got them
all
all.
of the trophy. Yeah,
But
so
there is also true trophies that does the exact same thing for
really?
trophies. So, but they don't have, since trophies are bronze, silver, and gold. They don't actually have values. I don't really know exactly how it works since, like I said, I don't have a PlayStation. But I do know that true trophies
Yeah, that have to be
exist.
based off of something because like it you can like kind of track your progress when you're getting trophies, and every trophy has like a percentage, and it'll tell you like how many people, like what percentage of people have this trophy out of like, the people that played it. But that's
Yeah,
obviously only for PlayStation.
yeah. They've got a sister site for true trophies, and they also have a sister site for true Steam achievements. So it's the
I'll have to
same
check that out.
platform for they're the same website for different platforms. Um, And where was I going with that? Oh, that's where I was going with it. Is that the true achievements out of the three different true websites? True achievements is the biggest one because just Xbox came out with achievements first, and
Yeah.
it's makes more sense. Having a gamer score of whatever your gamer score is versus like how many bronze trophies do you have is kind of meaningless.
Right. Yeah.
But they do fun
What you're saying.
events a couple times a year, and right now for September they're doing this an event, an alphabet challenge. So over the course of the month, you have to get an achievement that starts with each letter in the alphabet,
Oh, you're on
and you have
dig.
to do it in alphabetical order as well.
Oh,
And so today I was on the letter U, and so I was looking at what achievements I have that would be somewhat easy to unlock that start with the letter U, and I found Doom 3
oh,
has an achievement called Unarmed Badass, and it's for getting 20
oh,
kills, with your fist. So I was like, oh, I could just start up
nice.
the game
Yeah,
and
that
fight
sounds
the
easy.
first few enemies with my fist. And so it only took me like 10 minutes, but I booted it up and got that achievement to fulfill my letter
Nice.
U requirement. So I played it today for the first time in like 4.5 years. But yes, I was like, this is nuts, because I did have it originally on Xbox, on the original Xbox, because my buddy convinced me to get it. We were going to play through it in co-op over original Xbox, or actually we were going to play it on
Did it
360
have
because it
co-op?
was yeah, it has co-op, and we're going to play it on 360 because it was backwards compatible. And we booted it up, and it was so laggy and terrible. We played it for
Really?
like 10 minutes, and then we never ended up actually playing through it together just because it was
Yeah.
so bad.
I thought
But
it was only single player. Maybe it was only single player on the original Xbox, but
no,
playing through
because
that game,
that's
that
the
was
one.
scary because back then you could only have like either your flashlight or your gun. So you had to switch
Yes.
between them and you couldn't see anything without it. It's like
Yeah.
terrifying game.
So we bought the original Xbox version. We were just going to play it on 360 since it was backwards
Oh,
compatible. So
right,
the
right, yeah.
original version does
That's
have
true.
co-op. Some of the
Hmm.
versions of Doom 3 since may have gotten rid of that. I don't know.
Yeah, I doubt
Um,
it.
but I don't remember which version of Doom 3 I was playing, but I was playing the one on Series X, or the Xbox One version essentially. But I don't think they actually did anything to the game other than make it playable on modern
I
Xbox.
think they
But
took out at least the first, I think like the BFG edition of the game.
there is a
I
BFG version.
heard that
I
they
have
made
not
it
played
so
that
you
one.
can like always have your flashlight on the gun, and I was like, that's stupid. That ruins like most of the game. I don't even want to play that version.
I've heard that there is a version I
Hopefully,
that
it's an
does
option.
can do both, or
Yeah,
there's mods for like the PC version. But
of course.
yeah, booting it up today, I was like, it is crazy how good that game looks for being an original Xbox game. It
I'm
looks like it
saying,
easily could have been an Xbox 360 game.
oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Uh,
Like I said, out of all the games I played on Xbox, Doom 3 had to be like the best looking.
like I said, I've never actually played through it in its entirety. I will at some point, but for
Yeah, you
me,
got
that
it.
game
Like,
and is one of my favorite games of all time. And it was an original Xbox game, and it looked like it could have been a 360 game. It was so good looking and still holds up so well to this day. Is Ninja Gaiden Black. That game looks
ooh,
amazing.
yeah, those. That I remember playing that game a little bit. I think I had maybe a demo or something. It was like such a hard game. It was like notoriously hard. I remember Xbox Magazine had a, it's like an awards thing in that year. It was like most broken controller award goes to Ninja Gaiden Black.
Yeah,
I think it was like the second boss or something.
very well could have, because that game has maybe raged more than any other game. But God, I fell in love with that game, and I love it so much to this day. I haven't played it in a number of years. I need to go back and play it again. But it's hard, but it's so good, and that's just on the normal difficulty. Because there was on original Xbox, there was originally Ninja Gaiden, and then they released Ninja Gaiden Black, which was basically all the expanded content, because back then Xbox Live was so new that most people didn't have it. But they released DLC for it, free DLC on Xbox Live, but not many people had, even broadband internet at the time, much less Xbox Live. So they released all the content on the disc as a re-release, and that was Ninja Gaiden Black, and that added additional difficulties, because the original had normal, hard, and very hard. But Ninja Gaiden Black added an easier difficulty for people who are having trouble, called Ninja Dog. And when you do that one, you can tell, because you have this giant pink ribbon attached to your wrist the whole game to shame you. And then they added Master Ninja difficulty.
Really?
And they were estimating at the time that only probably not more than 1,000 people would be able to beat it on Master Ninja, because it was so difficult that a lot of the devs couldn't even do it. And I was like, well, I'm determined. I'm going to be one of those 1,000. I did beat it on very hard, but I was never able to make it through Master Ninja. But yeah,
that must be insane.
It's a great game. Looks amazing, and yeah, holds up great. And Christian is saying that Doom Guy was playable in the PC port of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. That's awesome. I love Tony Hawk 3. That was my favorite.
Back in the day, like you could. There wasn't even modding. There was like cheat codes in the game where you could be Spider-Man, like Black Suit Spider-Man and stuff, like Tony Hawk's 2 and stuff.
I believe Spider-Man was in Tony Hawk 2. In Tony Hawk 3, I had it on GameCube, and Wolverine and Darth Maul were in it, and they were awesome.
Really? That is sick.
Where was I going with that? But yeah, the other thing about Doom 3 is that, similarly to Doom 2016, Doom 3 took the Doom franchise in a completely different direction, because all the other ones were basically action shooters, and Doom 3 was like a survival horror game, which is also why I was not interested in it, because I don't like scary games. And yeah, that game is creepy. It's not as creepy as I thought it was going to be, but it is definitely creepy, especially when you can only use your flashlight or your gun. You have to switch between.
It gets creepy, but then obviously you get better stuff over the time, so it gets a little less creepy, but still they find a way to jump scare you.
Yeah. So, oh no, that was Dark Souls. But yeah, glad to hear that there's another Doom Eternal Defender, because
one of
my good buddies.
Game. I definitely want to play through them both again before the Dark Ages comes out. That game looks like it's going to be really sick.
Yeah, that game looks awesome. Definitely looking forward to that. That's right. I was talking to someone the other day about, like, they're like, "What games are you looking forward to?" I'm like, really nothing, but that's right.
Yeah,
Dark Ages. I forgot about it. That's one of the only ones I'm looking forward to.
That and man, what? Oh yeah, they remastered Soul Reaver. Finally,
they just announced that yesterday, I think, and I know.
Yeah, at the State of Play, I was watching. Well, it was a couple days ago, but yeah, finally they remastered it. But there's already people pointing out, like, oh, they changed this statue. She looks less feminine now, and like,
of course, they got to do something like that.
Yeah, they got to do something right. I still want to play it though. I only remember playing. It was the first Soul Reaver game I played a little bit on one of my friends' it was a Dreamcast, and it was really sick, but I never bought the game, and I've always wanted to play it. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'd never played it. I didn't even know the franchise existed until a couple years ago. And it was funny because we were talking about it on an episode of Party Chat recently, about games that need to get revived or franchises that need to get revived. And I was like, I don't know anything about Soul Reaver, but I often hear, like, when on YouTube, like, people do lists of franchises that need to get revived, that's often on the list. And then, like, literally a few days later, it's finally like, hey, we're remastering Soul Reaver 1 and 2. So I'm assuming a lot of people are very happy about that.
Yeah, I think I want to say it's the same people that did Tomb Raider.
Because if it's a remaster, it's probably either Night Dive or Aspire. Those are the two big ones. Yeah. And unfortunately, Aspire has butchered a
Also,
lot of them
yeah,
lately,
they
like the
also did.
Battlefront collection we were talking about.
Yep,
But Night Dives has seemingly been knocking their remasters out of the park. The
really.
last one, um, they may have done another one since, but the last one that I was really looking forward to, because it's one of my favorite games from back in the day. I've not played their remaster of it yet, but I absolutely will be at some point. Is Dark Forces.
Oh, Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my early favorite Star Wars games, and they did a remaster of it that came out earlier this year. I think it came out in February, and they, from what I hear, they did a great job with that one. I'm looking forward to playing that one.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
So,
I like good Star Wars games.
did you play any of those like 90s Star Wars games? Like Dark Forces
Um,
or
Not really, to be honest.
okay.
I'm thinking there's one. I don't know if it was Dark Forces, but it kind of played like GoldenEye.
Because Dark Forces
Played a
was
little bit
basically
of it.
Star Wars' version of Doom.
Right, yeah. I think I saw Jay playing it the other day, Drunk 3PO.
Okay.
Like a few weeks ago or a couple. I
That
can't
was the
remember what it was, but he was
introduction
playing
of
it.
one of my favorite Star Wars characters, Kyle Katarn.
How was it? Nice.
Yeah. Although I don't know if the game came first or some of the books that he was in. I'd have to go back and look, but yeah, Kyle Katarn's one of my favorite Star Wars characters. He's a great character.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people say a lot of good things about him, but I never really learned about him. I've read a few Star Wars books, but I don't know much about him.
So
See, like, was he a rebel?
originally he was training to be a stormtrooper in the Imperial Academy, but
Mhm.
then I forget if he failed out or what, but he eventually became a mercenary, and that's what he was in the Dark Forces game. He was just a gun for hire, and he did a lot of jobs for the Rebel Alliance, and then he eventually became a rebel. And then later on in Jedi Knight, he followed his dad, who he found out was a Jedi,
Hmm.
and he followed his path and became a Jedi himself. And then he fell to the dark side and then gave it up, and then came back to it, and then he became a master teaching the next generation of Jedi at Luke's Jedi Academy,
Hmm.
in
Oh, sick.
the EU, the real Star
Yeah, yeah,
Wars.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, he's a great character.
Yeah, back when they could actually write good characters and stories.
Yes. My other, speaking of well-written characters, my other favorite Star Wars character, and I
Jar Jar
discovered it.
Binks.
What's that?
Jar
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 Binks.
Binks. I do love the Darth Jar Jar
I
fan
don't
theory.
hate Jar Jar Binks. I mean, I was a kid at that time. I was basically, I think I'm like the same age as the kid who played Anakin. So
Yeah,
it was like,
what I'm guessing is that we're probably similar in age. Because yeah, I was in late middle school, or let's see here, because that came out in 2000. No, Phantom Menace came out in '99, right?
did it?
Because Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005. I know that, and they were 3 years apart, so that'd have been 2002. And yeah, 1999. I'm pretty sure Phantom Menace came out, so I would have been in middle
Sounds
school at
about
the
right.
time.
I
And
was
yeah, I
10.
didn't. I was a kid, so I just thought it was great to see new Star Wars. I
Yeah,
definitely understand a lot of the complaints with the prequel trilogy, but I am a prequel defender. But yeah, he's definitely an annoying
nice.
character. But I did always have a soft spot for Jar Jar Binks.
It's supposed to be an annoying character. Like, not supposed to like him, really.
Um, but no, that is not one of my favorite Star Wars characters. And my other favorite Star Wars character I discovered just coincidentally, because my favorite video game franchise of all time is Mass Effect, and I read the Mass Effect books, which are right there. There are four, but I typically don't acknowledge the fourth book's existence because it was written by a different author, and it's awful. It was terrible. But the first three books were all written by Drew Karpyshyn, who also wrote um, Mass Effect 1, and I think he did it was involved in all of, or at least most of, Mass Effect 2's story. And then he was either only slightly involved or not involved at all with the story of Mass Effect 3, unfortunately. But he was a great writer, and so I read the Mass Effect books and fell in love with his writing. And on the inside cover
Nice.
of one of them, it said, "If you like this, maybe you'll like these other books written by him." And they were Star Wars books. I'm like,
Oh,
Star Wars books by Drew Karpyshyn, signed me up. And so I discovered the books that are right next to it, which are the Darth Bane books. And those are excellent books.
cool.
That's my other favorite Star Wars character.
I would say Darth Revan's obviously one of mine, because when
Okay.
you brought up Mass Effect, I was thinking uh, Knights of the Old Republic, because they play
Both
very
BioWare, yep.
similarly. Yeah, they play a lot alike. Actually, the reason I never got into Mass Effect was because I was like, this is the same exact thing as Knights of the Old Republic, but there's no force powers or lightsabers. Like, I can't get into this.
Oh,
Can't do it.
interesting. Because, but yeah, I'm pretty sure Drew Karpyshyn was also involved in the writing of KOTOR, KOTOR 1, because, you know, that was also BioWare. I don't think he was involved with KOTOR 2, since that was done by Obsidian and not by BioWare.
Oh, really?
But it's interesting that you say that, because, like I said, I'm not big on turn-based combat, which is why I didn't like, you know, for the longest time in my mind, RPGs were always turn-based RPGs, because I didn't know of any real-time RPGs
Right.
until Oblivion, you know, Elder Scrolls 4. That was my first RPG, and I was like, oh, this is, you know, not turn-based and it's real-time combat, so I'm into this, and I fell in love with that. But because Knights of the Old Republic is, I call it pseudo turn-based, because it's not real time, but it's also not exactly turn-based. So I was like, it's close enough, I'll give it a shot. And I did end up liking it. But it's not in my top echelon of Star Wars games for gameplay. It is definitely up there for one of the best written games of all time, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's more of the story and the different planets you go to. And
excellent
people you
story,
meet and,
great characters. But
yeah,
yeah,
there's
the
tons of good
gameplay
characters. Like
isn't anything to write home
Phil
about in
Lamar's in
my
that
book.
game.
What's that?
Said Phil Lamar's in that game.
Yeah, he was
Gavin
Jolie
Thek.
Bindo.
No, Gavin Thek.
Okay. Because
Like
he's
from
the guy who voiced Mace Windu in the Clone Wars.
Who's that? Jolie Bindo?
No, Jolie Bindo is one of the characters from KOTOR.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I don't know who plays him though.
No, Phil Lamar.
Oh, Phil Lamar plays him as well.
Yeah, no, I'm saying Phil Lamar also voices Mace Windu in the Clone Wars show.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
yeah,
I never really got into the Clone Wars shows. Saw a couple episodes and was like,
But yeah, his voice, he's one of those voices, like when you go look into his like filmography, oh my god, his voice is freaking everywhere.
Yeah. I got his autograph last MegaCon in Florida. Yeah, I got to meet him. It was really cool. So I knew him from like Mad TV and Samurai Jack, and he's
okay. Yeah, Samurai Jack. I never watched it, but I do know that's one of the things that he was well known for.
Lots of other stuff, yeah.
But yeah, back to the KOTOR thing, and why you weren't into Mass Effect. It's like you essentially do have force powers with your biotic powers. There's no lightsabers, but it is real time combat and not turn based. That's why I fell in love with it. It's my favorite franchise of all time, because I will 9 times out of 10 I'll take sci-fi over fantasy. And all, you know, like I said, I love real time combat, so it was like just the perfect thing for me, and I love it. The one, when I say 9 times out of 10 I'll take sci-fi over fantasy, the one exception to that, and that's why I say 9 out of 10, is because I like Elder Scrolls more than I like Fallout, but I do like both franchises.
That's fair.
But I just like the vibrancy of the Fallout world over the dead world that is the Fallout, which, I mean, it makes perfect sense because it's after a nuclear apocalypse.
Fallout.
But the only Fallout game I've actually played, though, is Fallout 3. I will be playing New Vegas and 4 at some point. But I did like Fallout 3, but I would take Elder Scrolls and Skyrim over Fallout 3. But typically I'll take
Fallout's another one I can't get into. Like I played Fallout 3, like the beginning, like a few times. But then once you get outside the bunker, I was like, you're walking around so slow, and it's like such a huge map. I just felt so bored.
Understandable.
But I've watched people play it, and it looks like an awesome game. Like,
yeah, and it definitely retains that art. It feels definitely more like an RPG than it does a shooter because of the whole VAT system, which if you try to play it like a shooter, I don't think it's good at all, because it's very difficult to hit stuff without using VATs. But the implementation that, coming up with the idea for VATs, I think was like perfect, so that it is a first. You can switch the camera between first and third person, but it makes more sense to play it as a first person. But it definitely retains that RPG feel, where Like Mass Effect is more fast paced. You can pause the action at any time to queue up your abilities and stuff,
Right,
kind of
just
like
like
KOTOR.
KOTOR. Yep.
But it is a much more fast-paced action, and it's more fun when you don't pause it and you can do all your actions
Yeah,
without having to pause the game.
that does sound better. That was the one
So
thing I noticed last time I played. I actually have KOTOR on my phone. I remember playing it, and I was like, I don't remember the combat being so stiff. Like you pause it, select a bunch of things, then unpause it, and then pause it. Like,
yeah,
and you don't have to do that, but it definitely gives you an edge in combat.
yeah, and yeah, Mass Effect kind of has that too, where you can pause it and queue up all your stuff. But I have a lot more fun playing it as a shooter with
Yeah,
RPG elements rather
yeah,
than playing it more like an RPG with shooter elements. But yeah, I would definitely recommend Mass Effect if you like, you know,
yeah. I might be able to get
fast
into it
paced.
now. Back then, I was just like way more into Star Wars, and I was like, oh, this feels like that Star Wars game I played.
Understandable. My favorite Star Wars game of all time is still Jedi Academy. Did you play Jedi Outcast or Jedi Academy?
I can't say I have, but I do believe there's a remaster of both of them, right? They're
Uh,
both on one disc.
so on Xbox, they were because they're original Xbox games. I originally played them on PC back in the day, but they are on Xbox and they are backwards compatible, so you can play them both on a modern Series X. However, I don't believe they were ever released on the other platforms until just within the last year or two. They did do like I don't know if it's a remaster or just a port. I don't think they actually did anything other than just port it to modern consoles for PlayStation and for Switch. So you can get them on those platforms now, but I don't think they did anything to touch them up. I think they're just like the original versions playable on modern hardware.
That's
So
fine by me. I'll play them.
yeah. And that's the end of, like I was saying, Dark Forces. That's the end of that franchise because
Oh,
Kyle Katarn is who you play as in Jedi Knight. And then in Jedi
ooh,
Academy, he's your mentor, and you play Jedi Academy as a new apprentice coming into the Jedi Academy, and Kyle Katarn is your master.
that's
Um,
cool.
and but yeah, so Dark Forces was the first one. That's basically Star Wars' Doom clone. Then there was Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight, and that's where Kyle starts to follow the path and become a Jedi because his dad was killed by Jarek, who's a dark Jedi, and it's basically a revenge quest.
Hmm,
um, and he becomes a Jedi.
interesting.
Well, canonically he becomes a Jedi. You can pick light side or dark side in that game. And one of the
Uh,
cool things that that game did that I've not seen in I always mention it may exist in other games with a morality system, but this is the only game I've played that did it. Where a lot of the other Star Wars games have like a light side and a dark side ending, and basically the only difference is like the choice you make in the final cutscene of the game decides whether you go light side or dark side.
right.
This game, you either go full light side or full dark side halfway through the game, and you don't do anything, like you don't pick things that decide that. It's how you play the game.
Hmm.
So like if you're going around murdering innocent civilians, you're going to go dark side, but if you let them
Right.
live, you'll go light side. And midway through the game, there's a cutoff point where, all right, you're now either light side or dark side, and any points you've invested into the other skill tree get refunded back to you, so you can put them into light whatever side you're
That's
now on.
interesting.
So if you want to go through and get the other ending, you actually have to go play through the whole game again, not just play the last level and make a different choice, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Then in KOTOR, it's kind of like there's different choices with each of your party's characters. Like you could be like a total dick to them and eventually kill them.
Yeah. So
But
I played KOTOR once back in the day. So I'm going to be playing it again eventually, and I played it light side. So whenever I do get around to playing it again, I'll play it dark side, and then I'm going to
mm,
be going into playing KOTOR 2 for the first time because I never played it before.
oh really? Yeah, that one's good too. That one had some more difficult choices. I remember after I beat the game, I read something like, "Oh, you can get the handmaiden they call her, who I
Yeah,
guess
I do know that's a
pretty much
character.
yeah, she's like technically canon. I think she's supposed to be like the good guy, like wins in that game. But there's certain choices you have to make to get her to side with you, and I think I fucked up. And so I was like, oh well, great. She like
But
didn't want to train to be a Jedi or something. I was like, oh no, I screwed up the whole timeline.
But yeah, I know a lot of people consider KOTOR as like their favorite Star Wars game, but I've been hearing a lot lately that KOTOR 2 is a lot of people's favorite because it didn't do that great when it came out because they were so rushed to release it in such a short period of time. They had to cut
Hmm.
stuff. But like with it being patched with the fixes and the restored content, a lot of people are like that's my favorite Star Wars game, and they like it even more than KOTOR 1. So
I'm sure it's like improved combat and graphics and all that. The story, I can't even remember. I remember Darth Nihilus being the
I
bad
do.
guy. I don't
Yeah, I
really
know that
remember too much
Nihilus
of
is
that.
in it, and so is Scion.
Zion, that sounds familiar. Yeah, but I
Um,
like the whole story of Darth Revan. Like basically, what Malik turned on him and like left him to die, and then he got abducted by the Jedi, or abducted, but found by the Jedi. And
yeah,
then he basically can either redeem himself or go back to the dark side. And
yeah,
you find HK-47, the robot that was like that used to be his personal robot. He just calls
everybody
everybody
loves.
meat bags.
Yeah, who doesn't love AK-47? One of the
Yeah,
best
he's the
droids
best.
ever.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, KOTOR 1 is definitely just so well written.
Kelly Hoop.
Yeah, Christian's dropping some more facts saying they're gonna all three Mass Effect games are backwards compatible for modern Xboxes. Yes, they are. I play them often. But they slightly censored the Legendary Edition.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
they made that girl's butt smaller or something.
they just changed the camera angles so they don't focus on her butt as much,
Ah,
which is a bummer because that's
lame.
literal perfection.
Yeah,
That's my video game waifu is Miranda Lawson,
yeah, I
who's
hear that from a
voiced
lot of
and
people.
modeled after Yvonne Strahovski, who is
Oh,
incredibly hot.
nice.
And
Well, going back to the light
Kelly
side, dark
Q
side thing.
voiced in KOTOR 2. I'm
Yeah, I
assuming
think
that
she was
he's
the
referring
handmaiden.
to Handmaiden.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Uh,
light side, dark side.
yeah. Have you ever played Fable: The Lost Chapters?
The only Fable game I played Fable 2.
Dude, not as good. They keep getting worse. But the first
Because
Fable,
I
oh
heard
man,
people love Fable 1 and 2, and that Fable 3 was not that great.
Fable 3 is, like I said, they just keep getting worse. Fable 2 is actually pretty good, but the first one, nothing compares to the first one in my opinion. It actually is like my all-time favorite game. It's, like
Nice.
there's so many choices you can make, and like the light side, dark side. Like you start going towards the dark side, you literally your skin gets paler, like your eyes turn red, your hands start to turn like black, and they glow, and you literally grow horns out of your head. Like they start out as little tiny horns, and by the end they're like big horns.
Yeah, I didn't play it, but
Just
one
a
of my
lot of
buddies
sick little things.
I remember one time he was telling me about playing Fable
Yeah,
going
Fable
evil, and
Anniversary, sorry.
you basically turn into like this a demon looking character. It's like that is pretty cool.
Yeah, well, Fable Anniversary is it's updated graphics. I mean, I don't like it as much because there's not as much nostalgia with the how they updated the graphics. And but probably the coolest thing is you can get the outfits for pretty much all the main characters, including the main bad guy. So
Fable
I
Anniversary, is
don't know.
that like a remaster of the
Yeah,
original?
it's just a remaster, and
Okay.
they added like skins and stuff.
Okay,
Well, I don't like it
because
as much. I think it's too bright. Like it's not as
that's what a lot of people
I don't
say
know,
about the
like too
Halo
polished.
1
You know what I'm saying?
Anniversary. They're like,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
new one looks too polished. I'm like, I think it looks way better because the original was way too dark. I still
Yeah,
love it though. Halo, the original Halo is one of my favorite games. I love that game, but I did
yeah,
like what
that
they
game
did
was
in
really
the
sick
Halo
too.
Anniversary.
Yeah, they made didn't they make all like a lot of the multiplayer maps like they just seemed like monotone. They were like all gray. I remember seeing Narrows, I think, on the anniversary edition, and it looked terrible compared to the original version.
Hmm.
Fable, yeah, I just bought Fable: The Lost Chapters on. I think I bought it through Steam though. It's been a while since I played it.
And
And
I've heard of the Lost Chapters. What is that? Is that like a
it's the
interim?
complete version of the game. Like first there was Fable, and it would just end after like without spoiling anything. You have to fight the main bad guy. It's like the first time you fight him, but the game just ends after that. But in Fable, the Lost Chapters is like the complete version. It's like it's not just DLC. It's like a whole another half of the game.
Oh, okay.
Tons more. Good. Fable Anniversary is just a remaster of Fable: The Lost Chapters, and
Gotcha.
that's
Okay.
like such a sick game. Like when you everything you upgrade, like if you put points into like your health or your strength or stuff, that'll like make your character bigger. And if you put points into skill, which is like accuracy or selling stuff, guile, like that'll make your character taller. And then the more magic that you like unlock, your like skin will like glow with runes and stuff. It's like just a really cool just way to transform your character over the course of the game, and like
That
I've
is
never
pretty
seen
cool.
another game do it like
The
that.
one that I played that would be closest to that was Crackdown. Did you ever play
Crackdown, no,
Crackdown?
no, I haven't.
That game was so much fun, but as you like you start out as like this scrawny, skinny little guy, but as you get more orbs, which is essentially your XP, um, if you get more, because you had like 5 different stats. There was
Hmm.
agility, strength, driving, firepower, or and then there was one more. I forget what it is, but like as you get the agility orbs, you get your character, I think, got taller as you got your strength up, he got buffer, and
Yep,
then as you got like
that's
your
cool.
driving skill up, it was one of the really cool things was the agency vehicles. The higher your skill level, the cooler the vehicle would look. So you get in and it would transform
Oh, that's sick.
depending on what your driving level was.
Huh.
And each of the different vehicles had a different ability once it reached its top tier driving skill. So, like the agency is basically like the cop car turns
Hmm.
into basically the Batmobile,
Oh
and
man, that's
you
sick.
and you can basically like drive under cars, and the cars will just like launch off you like a ramp once you have it fully leveled up. There was the agency SUV, which basically turns into a monster truck at the end,
Mm,
and it has hydraulics,
damn.
so you can just like jump and like do like flips and stuff. And then there
Yeah,
was
I
the
never.
agency truck, which basically turns into Optimus Prime, not like the robot form, but like the truck form.
Yeah, yeah, like a
Um,
Big Mac truck.
it's a Big Mac truck, and you can just drive through vehicles instead of getting
Mm.
stopped by them. And when you can like barely nudge a car, and it'll just like explode. It was cool. So that's the closest thing I could think of as your character like levels up. Your
Yeah, I never
physicality
knew.
changes.
I mean, I remember hearing about the game. I can kind of picture it, but I never knew that it had a progression system like that. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's fun. I love the
More
Crackdown
games need to
games.
do that stuff. So even in like Fable 2, it wasn't. Fable 2 was like, yeah, you get a little taller, and if you eat too much, your character gets fat. It's like,
I
it
know
wasn't like
GTA
the
did that.
same though.
One of the
Oh, San
GTA's.
Andreas, yeah.
You
San
can get
Andreas, you
fat
could
and you
get
have to work
completely
out to lose
jacked
your
or you can
weight.
get fat, yeah. That game was great too when it came out. I played that
Yeah.
on Xbox.
I was never a big fan of the
Must have been
GTA games.
360. No, I
GTA
played
4 was the
3. I
first one on 360.
played all but the first two now.
Uh, San Andreas and Vice City and 3 were all original Xbox games.
Okay, yeah.
And
I
then
played them
GTA
all on
5 has
Xbox
been
then.
on every Xbox except for the original.
Yeah, it's wild. The game's been out for so long. It's been on like every. I think didn't I just bought it again recently, actually, for PS5. It was like $10 or something. I was like, I may as well.
It's like
It's kind of fun to play online.
you can't avoid it. Everyone owns this game, even if they don't want to.
Yeah.
Uh, um, but yeah, I was never big on the GTA franchise. When it comes to like open world sandbox games like that, I enjoy things like Crackdown. My favorite open world sandbox franchise is Just Cause. I love those games.
Just Cause. I remember a little bit of that.
But Prototype was another one. That one was a
Oh
blast.
yeah,
Uh,
Prototype.
I never played Infamous since that was a PlayStation exclusive, but I know that's very
Was it?
similar.
Yeah, I never got into that either. Actually, the only one I played was a small spin-off game. It was like Second Light or
There is
something.
Infamous Second Son. I do know that's a game.
Second Son. No, it wasn't that one. It was you play as a girl, and it was like a really short game. I remember it was one of the first games I played on PlayStation Plus, I think. I don't even think I paid for it, but it was pretty cool. I never got into those games. They seemed cool.
Yeah, there was this battle, like an internet battle between Prototype and Infamous,
Yeah,
and I
they're
was
really
on the
similar,
Prototype
right?
bandwagon because Prototype was on Xbox and Infamous wasn't. But I definitely
Yeah.
would have played Infamous if I could have, because that looked like a fun game too.
Yeah, I had Xbox at the time. I played a lot of that Prototype. I never played the second one, but the
I
first
didn't
one was really
either.
cool.
But I do know that because in the first Prototype, you play as Alex Mercer, And then in Prototype 2, Alex Mercer is the main bad guy, and you play as a different protagonist.
Really?
So you go up.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's about all I know about Prototype 2. Is the main
It makes me want
antagonist
to
is
play it
the
even less now.
protagonist of the previous game.
I don't like when they do that. Remember, what was it? There was a Spider-Man game where it turned out Peter was the villain. I was like, I'm done playing this. It was Shattered Dimensions, maybe?
I've not played that one, so I don't know.
So
But
disappointing.
I've
As soon
heard
as I saw that, I'm so done.
that
I
era
didn't really like the game anyway.
That era of Spider-Man games, those Activision Spider-Man games from the 360 PS3 era, I've heard are pretty well received.
Web of Shadows, really
Web
good.
of Shadows, I've started playing it. I have not beaten it yet, but that's another game that I've played this month because I needed it for an achievement for a specific letter. Actually, I'll be playing that tomorrow because the next letter I need is also from Spider-Man Web of Shadows. But
nice.
yeah,
It's a sick game.
I've
I can tell
heard
you
that
the
a lot of
ending,
people
but
think
can't
that's the
tell you the
best
rest.
one of that era of Spider-Man games.
Oh yeah. Aside from, well, Spider-Man 2 might have been a bit earlier, but that's got to be still the best Spider-Man game. Spider-Man 2, like the original
Based on the movie.
version. Yeah.
So, and Christian's coming in here with the infamous games include 1, 2, Festival of Blood, Second Son, and First Light.
First Light was the one I was thinking.
Okay, I was going to say, based on what little I know about Infamous, my guess is that it was First Light. So thank you for that, Christian. Speaking of Infamous and Prototype, they were almost a crossover game, but got scrapped in favor of Concord. I just learned that yesterday from someone in a chat of a live stream I was watching. It's like, that sucks because both of those games were great and a crossover between them would have been awesome. And then they decided to go with the disaster, one of the biggest disasters of gaming history, known as Concord.
Oh my god. I wish I went and bought a copy the day that Craig went. I was watching side scrollers and he made me want to go buy a copy so bad. And I was like, is it really that big of a deal? But it's like, yeah, kind of. It's the biggest flop in video game history. The game's probably not worth anything, even the physical edition, but it would still be funny just to own a copy.
Yeah, that's one of those like mementos of video game memorabilia. But yeah, going back to the Mass Effect thing, if you were going to, I would probably recommend the Legendary Edition because it's got all 3 games in one bundle. And if you are a completionist like me, you can complete the whole thing in one playthrough of each game. Whereas, like the original Mass Effect 3, in order to get the full completion, you had to do at least 3 full playthroughs.
Now, are they on Game Pass, like the original versions?
The originals are on Game Pass Ultimate because they are EA games, so they're part of EA Play, and EA Play is in Game Pass Ultimate, but they are not part of the standard tier of Game Pass. So if you did want to play the originals, that is also an option. And the one thing that I do always recommend for the original is because of Mass Effect 3 has the multiplayer mode, and the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, they got rid of it. There is no multiplayer mode in Mass Effect 3 Legendary Edition. If you want to play Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, that is only in the original. And
what is the multiplayer in that game? Is it co-op or?
Yeah, it's a 4-player co-op horde-based shooter where it's you and up to 3 other people facing off against increasing waves of difficulty enemies. And it is my most played multiplayer mode of all time. Because Mass Effect 3 is my favorite game of all time, and I love playing the Mass Effect multiplayer. I just had an event on Monday where I'm going to be doing it monthly, where it's Mass Effect Monday, and spent a couple hours playing the Mass Effect multiplayer on stream. But I've played that game regularly since it came out in 2012. I think the longest time I didn't play it was about 6 months, but I still play it a couple times, once or twice a month at least, because I love it. So, but yeah, unfortunately, you can't play it on the Legendary Edition. But if you ever want to come in and play with us, you definitely can, because I'm going to be doing a monthly Mass Effect Monday,
nice.
and it's open to anyone who wants to come and play with me, because I love playing it. And you don't have to have any knowledge of the game. You don't have to have ever even played it before. You can just hop in the multiplayer and start going, but you'll have, as you play it, you'll get money to, buy packs and unlock better equipment and gear and better characters. So you only have the basic stuff starting off. But it's fun regardless. I love playing it. So
now, is that crossplay, or do you just buy it through Steam?
It is not crossplay, unfortunately. It's only if you have to play it on. It is on Xbox, obviously, because that's what I played on because it was a 360 game. It is available on PlayStation. I have no way of playing the PlayStation version, but I do
Right.
also own it on Steam. So
Uh,
um, it's still regularly full price. I think the full price is still like $40, maybe even 60 on Steam. But it does
wow.
often enough go on sale on Steam for like $8, which is I bought it on Steam the winter sale I think last year for $8, just so I had it on Steam so I could play the multiplayer, and that's all I've done. I don't even think I've started the campaign on it, but I bought it on Steam so I could play the Steam version with people as well. So
Nice.
the thing is, because me being mainly a console guy, I prefer playing with controller unless the game does not allow for it. And the Steam version of Mass Effect 3 does not have any controller
What?
support built in. If you want to use a controller, you do have to mod it in, and I've heard it's rather tedious.
That's crazy.
So,
Like, wasn't the game technically a console game?
yeah, on when the original Mass Effect launched, it was a Xbox exclusive until EA bought BioWare, and then from then on, it was multi-platform, but it was originally an Xbox exclusive. But yeah, if you ever want to play, you're definitely welcome to join because I will take any excuse to play Mass Effect 3 multiplayer.
Yeah, I'll let you know if I ever get it.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, I had Mo Zamboni on for open mic a couple weeks ago, and I know he knows how much I love it, and he's going to be playing through the campaign for the first time soon. So I'm looking forward to watching him play through that once he gets started on his playthrough.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out too because it's been a while since I even saw somebody play it.
Yeah, I haven't played the campaign in any of them in a long time, but I'm definitely looking forward to because I have the Legendary Edition. I just haven't played it yet, but I'm looking forward to playing through it again on the Legendary Edition because it's been a long time since I played the campaign. I just play the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer all the time. So Christian is saying, I have good news. Microsoft and Activision are considering on bringing back their old Transformer and Marvel games. Yeah, I've heard some rumors that Activision may bring back some of their dead franchises, which would be awesome. I've heard that those War for Cybertron games were excellent. I never got to play them, which is a bummer because I've heard that they're great. I love Transformers. So if they bring them back, I will probably jump on that. I don't know what Activision Marvel games they are because I was never really big into Marvel, but bringing back dead franchises is always a good thing.
The only ones I can think of is maybe Marvel vs. Capcom, but that's probably Capcom making that game. I don't know what Activision.
Yeah, I'd have to go and look it up because I'm not sure off the top of my head.
That's Spider-Man? Spider-Man, I want to say was
Spider-Man, like we were talking about earlier, those are Marvel Activision games.
Were they Activision? Okay.
And they aren't, as far as I know for a fact, Web of Shadows is not backwards compatible because when I play it, I have to play it on my 360. I'm assuming that the other ones, like Shattered Dimensions and whatever the other one was, are also not backwards compatible, but I would have to double check. But
I'm thinking Time.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I don't know if I have the cases still. I have a lot of cases from my Xbox games, but I don't know if I have any of those really.
But yeah, Christian reminds me of something that I often praise Mass Effect for because it's the first time I ever saw a game do this. Is that it has the ability to transfer your save data from the previous game. So any choices you make in Mass Effect 1 transfer into Mass Effect 2,
sick.
And all those choices you make in 1 and 2 then transfer into 3. So
that's really cool.
That's really awesome. So if you want to go and make different choices, you can either go back and play through the game again and make different choices, or they did come out with what was called the Mass Effect Genesis motion comics, which were basically little downloadables, which I think are included. I was talking to someone about this recently because, like I said, I haven't played the Legendary Edition, so I was asking about it, and they said that they are included in the Legendary Edition. But it basically is a story recap of the previous game. But at each one of those major plot points, it pauses and asks you what choice you made. And then at the end, they're like 15 minutes, and it generates a save file based on those choices, so you can import it into the next game without having to actually play through the entire game.
I think Witcher 2 and 3 both kind of have a system like that, where it just asks you questions alluding to the choices that you might have made.
I've heard something along those lines that they play differently based on your choices in the previous game, which is always a cool concept because it's not done often.
Yeah, but I think you have to actually tell the game like you'll be having a conversation. It'll be like, "Oh, what happened to that guy?" And then it's just options. But
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
that
always
one's a little
nice.
bit more subtle. It's like, wait a minute. Is this one of those things where it's like presenting me with an option and I'm picking what my backstory is? Or is
Right.
this like something canonically already happened and I'm retelling it, but I might be getting it wrong, and then they're going to call me on it and say, no, you're lying. So
Yeah.
it's a little more subtle on the Witcher side from what I hear.
Yeah. On the third one, it's like a guy is literally just questioning Geralt, like what happened during these events, and you just tell him either this guy got away or I killed him, you know. Because there's a lot of choices in Witcher 2. Witcher 2 is such a sick game. I got to play that again.
I've
I don't
played
know
a
what I'm gonna
little
play
bit
it
of
on.
it. I actually, for the first time in probably like 4 years, I played it this month because I needed an achievement for the alphabet challenge.
It
Um,
really only works well. I mean, I don't know about now, but when I tried to play Witcher 2 on PC, it didn't work at all. I ended up buying it on Xbox
I'm,
360.
I'm playing the 360 version. It is backwards compatible, so you could play it on modern Xbox. Um,
Nice.
but I do know that for a completion, Witcher 2 takes 2 playthroughs because there is a choice you make somewhere through the game that drastically changes the rest of the game, and there's achievements tied to each one, so you do have to
There's a
do
few.
a playthrough of each method in order to get all the achievements. So
Hmm.
I'm going to be doing that because I do also have Witcher 3, which I've just started to get it on my tag, but I haven't actually played it yet. But I'm going to be doing
Oh, it's
Witcher
such a
2
sick game too.
and then Witcher 3. It's just those are Witcher 2 is already a big game, and the Witcher 3 is just a gigantic game with so much to do. It's like
Yeah,
it's
that's
one of
one
those things
game.
where I have to
It's
set
like,
aside like months to play it.
oh yeah, I got so far into that game, and one of the trophies is for beating it on the hardest difficulty, which is Death March. And the worst part about it back then was the load time after you died was literally like 4 minutes, and I'm
Oh
like,
my god, that's brutal.
so there was a point when I stopped playing it for months because this one mission was so hard. But yeah, that game is so sick, and especially when you're playing it on the hardest difficulty, like really requires you to look everywhere and find everything and make all the potions that you can and learn your enemies, like what's weak against them and what's not.
I wonder if
Yeah,
they're
that game
different
is
on
so
Xbox
sick.
because I have looked through the achievements. Being a completion, yes, I look at the achievements for a
Should be
lot of
the
games that
same.
I plan to play, and I don't remember ever seeing a difficulty. Oh, I'm pulling it up right now and
You
finish the
bet you
game.
better make sure. That's
Uh,
one of the first things I always do when I start trophy hunting, you know?
okay, so you do it too?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Or
Okay.
without trying to spoil the game or something, I gotta like
Yeah.
carefully look up, does this game have a trophy for that? That
Yeah.
way, if I don't have to play the game on the hardest difficulty, I won't.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm the same way. So I just pulled it up right now, and at least on Xbox 360, there is one difficulty achievement which I forgot about, and it says finish the game playing at dark difficulty level. So maybe I don't know
That's a
what difficulty that is, but I'm assuming it's the hardest
really?
on 360.
It must be.
It may be different on PlayStation. I don't know.
I don't know
Um,
why they would change the name of it completely though.
yeah, exactly. I was like,
The
I would
name of the
think that the
difficulty level?
difficulty level would be called the same thing on both.
It's definitely Death March. I don't know. I could look up the trophy for PlayStation.
But I'm definitely gonna be playing Witcher 2 before I get into Witcher 3. But by the time I finally get around to those, the Witcher 1 remaster may be out, and maybe I'll play that one. I'll just play through
Ooh,
the
yeah,
whole
I want to
series.
remaster again. Yeah, that game's really good too. The graphics are horrible and the combat's like really bad. But actually, in The Witcher 3, they don't make it really well known or anything, but there's two moves that you can unlock that are straight from the first game. Because in the first game, you have like stances. You have to switch your
Okay.
stance depending on which enemy you're fighting. So if it's like faster enemies like uh, drowners, I guess, you use this one attack where he just kind of flails the sword all over. Like it's like a really fast attack, but then you have another stance that's like heavy attacks, and then you have another stance that's like parrying or something. But yeah, there's two moves. There's like that same move. It's called Whirl, where he just whirls the sword around him, and it's like one of the best moves in the game, just because he hits everything so fast. And then Rend, which is like a super heavy, just like, and those are like two of my favorite moves in that game. Even though I pretty much put all my points into spells. He's got lots of different spells. The trap sign really comes in handy against
There's a
pretty much
trap.
anything. Yeah, there's a trap. But yeah, those games are really sick. I really like them.
Yeah, Vanquish, who was in chat earlier, Witcher 3 is his favorite game of all time, and
Oh yeah, my
completely
stepbrother plays
understandable.
that game all the time.
I've heard it's excellent, so I'm definitely looking forward to playing it at some point. I just don't know when it will be because I got so many games in my backlog. But yeah, Christian's saying Mass Effect 2, don't forget the loyalty missions and upgrade your ship before the final mission. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time. Um, and yeah, the Legendary Edition has all the DLC from all the games except for the Pinnacle Station from the original Mass Effect, because somehow they lost the source code to it. So they would have had to build it, rebuilt it from the ground up for the DLC or for the Legendary Edition. And it wasn't that great of a DLC anyways. So unfortunately, that DLC is lost to time, essentially. I mean, you can still play it on the original version, but the Legendary Edition doesn't have it, but it does have all the other DLC. But yeah, I definitely recommend Mass Effect because it is fantastic.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like it. It's definitely the top-rated game franchises.
So, sorry if you did already inadvertently answer this, but if you had to pick a favorite franchise, do you have one?
Well, I can't say Fable because they just keep getting worse every time one comes out. Favorite game franchise? Probably either God of War. Pretty much every game is good.
That's
But
a
I think
good
I
pick.
like Devil May Cry a lot.
I've
Devil May
never
Cry is
played a
really
Devil May
good.
Cry game, but I'm sure I would have liked them if I had ever gotten into them.
They're all good except for the second one's not great.
Oh, okay, I've
Kind of
heard that
crap.
that one's not great. Did you
But
like
there's
the
a what's that?
I think it was like the reboot DMC Devil May
I
Cry?
actually did like that game a lot. It has really good combat and like songs and bosses and stuff, but it's not canon and it doesn't go with like the proper lore and stuff. So
Yeah, I've heard
it
that there was a
sucks,
lot
but
of controversy over that game because it's like such a depart. It's almost like a spit in the face to the games that came before it when it
it
comes
would
to
be
like the story and
fine
the
if they
lore.
just I mean
But I've
if
heard
they
it's got really good gameplay.
oh yeah, it's got wicked sick gameplay. Like the juggling in that game, like you can like literally stay in the air and just like keep pulling enemies up to you and just hitting them and doing all sorts of moves. But yeah, they changed the story from his mother being just a human and his father being a demon. In that game, it was like your mother was an angel and your father was a demon, so you were Nephilim, and it's like you have all the sorts of angel powers, which would be cool if that's where they started the original franchise. But the first game takes place like well, as this guy's saying here, three is
Yeah,
the first one, then one. So one is
chronologically 3, 1, 2, 4, 5.
yeah, so one is literally after like the reboot one that they made, which I guess was supposed to take place before three because he was really young in that one. But yeah, it sucks because all the bosses and the music and the fighting was so good, but it's just not part of it. Actually, one is probably one of my favorites. Three is really good. Three and one, I really like. Thing about one is like the backtracking. You're kind of just like in this castle on an island, and you're just you gotta find something, go back. Not quite as much as something like Resident Evil, but I don't
It's
know.
got a
The level design is really
Metroidvania-esque
cool.
type of level design.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you kind of
Okay.
just go through the castle and kind of back through it, and then there's a lot of secrets to find along the way.
That's one of the things that, because like I said earlier, Ninja Gaiden, the rebooted, I've never played the classic ones, although I know that those are incredibly difficult as well back on NES. But Ninja Gaiden Black and Ninja Gaiden 2 were both excellent games. But I like Ninja Gaiden Black more because it has a Metroidvania style map where you can go back to previous areas, whereas Ninja Gaiden 2 is completely linear. You start in each level is a completely different place, and you go from point A to point B.
Right.
The combat's probably a little bit better in Ninja Gaiden 2. It's great in both, but it's probably a little bit better in 2. But I like the map design in Black over 2, and we don't talk about 3 because 3 was terrible. But that's another franchise that I would love to see revived if they did it well, because Ninja Gaiden 2 and 3 were both 360 games, and there hasn't been anything from that franchise. There's been other stuff from Team Ninja, like Dead or Alive. That's basically the only thing they've really done. Team Ninja did a couple of other games like outside of their wheelhouse, really. Like they did the Metroid Other M, which was a Wii game. They actually just recently they did a couple years ago they did the Neo games, NIOH. Those were PlayStation
Yep.
exclusives for a while. That
Yep.
that was Team Ninja, and their most
Oh,
recent
yeah.
one they did Wolong Fallen Dynasty. That was another Souls-like game that they did. But of their kind of what they're known for, which is Ninja Gaiden and the DOA franchise. DOA 6 came out, somewhat recently, but Ninja
I
Gaiden
only
has
played
been
the
dormant.
demos for those, but I did play the hell out of those demos, like 5 and 6.
Yeah, the only
Hitami was my favorite in those.
Hitomi,
Karate, yeah, the karate girl.
because there is like some of the main ones is Hitomi, Ayane, and Kasumi.
Kasumi, yeah.
Kasumi is the one that wears like the blue dress.
Yeah, she's the redhead.
That's Hitomi. Or well, her hair is lighter in color.
It's like brown.
Yeah.
But
and then Ayane is the one with the purple hair.
Yeah, she got the short purple hair.
But yeah, me not being a fighting game person, I never really played. I played DOA 3 a little bit because my roommate in college had it, and I played with him a few times.
Did you play DOA Extreme Beach Volleyball though?
No, I've never played those.
Are you serious? Oh man, that game was fun.
I heard they were actually pretty good volleyball
beach
games.
Volleyball game. Oh yeah, it was good.
And
the girls are wearing skimpy bikinis. It's like,
what's not to like?
Yeah. Oh, and then they banned the game in America because apparently we're perverts for like.
Well, I don't know if it was banned, but
DOA
Extreme 3 never released in the US. It was only released in Japan.
I don't think the second one did either.
You know what? You might be right because
wrong, but I'm pretty
we
sure
were
only the
just
first one
talking about DOA Extreme on a stream recently, and someone like informed me, and I was like, "No, I think you're wrong." And I looked it up, and they were right, and I was wrong. But I don't know much about the Dead or Alive franchise, so Dead or Alive Extreme 2 was on 360, but Dead or Alive Extreme 3 was not on. I think it was like only on Switch, and it was only in Japan.
I don't know why I never bought the second one. First one was great. I played the shit out of it.
But yeah, my closest connection with the Dead or Alive franchise is Ninja Gaiden because Ryo is the main character in Ninja Gaiden. He's one of the characters in the DOA fighting franchise. Right. But yeah, a lot of their other franchises are still going strong. They're strong-ish. But yeah, Ninja Gaiden has been dormant since Ninja Gaiden 3 came out in like 2012.
Yeah, I wonder why they haven't tried anything.
Let me see. Ninja Gaiden 3. Oh, wait, that's Razor's Edge. That came out. Oh, that's the Xbox One version. That's right. Ninja Gaiden 3 originally released in 2012. Yep, nailed it. And then they did a Razor's Edge, which was with the DLC in it the next year in 2013. So even with that, it's been over 11 years now since we've gotten a Ninja Gaiden. They did the Master Collection, which was kind of like the Legendary Edition for Mass Effect, but for Ninja Gaiden, it's not quite accurate, but it's close enough. That came out. The Master Collection came out in 2021, but it's still those older games on newer hardware. There's not an actual new Ninja Gaiden game in over 11 years. So I would love to, if they did it properly, I would love to revive the Ninja Gaiden
something cooking up.
But if they do it like Ninja Gaiden 3 which was terrible, then I would rather it stay dead. Oh, yeah, and Christian Frady mentioned that Dead or Alive 4 had a female Spartan named Nicole in it as a playable character. That's right.
Oh, really? I never played the fourth one. I think the fifth one was my introduction, and there's just like the demo was free on PlayStation. Or it's not even really a demo of it. It's like just not a full version. It doesn't have the story unlocked, but you can play through the arcade with most of the characters and stuff. Just like a light version.
Okay. I know that I've heard that DOA 5 is a really good fighting game.
Yeah, it is.
And
6 wasn't as good. I think 6 was a bit easier.
That's what I've heard. And also 6, I think, was like free to play, but it was one of the most, like, it never really gets talked about, but it's one of those like egregious microtransaction games where there's like, that game has like literally like 1,000 pieces of DLC. It's ridiculous,
Yeah,
and
outfits for everybody.
they've got like these packs with a bunch of different outfits for all the characters, and they're like $30 each, and there's like tons of them. And one of the most egregious things, I think they changed this, but you could buy a microtransaction to like change the color of the outfit or change a character's hair, but it was a one-time use. So if you wanted to change it back, you had to buy the
So
original
scummy.
color again. I think they changed that. I don't know for certain, but yeah,
I would hope
DOA
so.
6 was super egregious when it came to microtransactions.
Yeah, I didn't spend a dime on it. I played a lot of it because it was like the same setup as 5, where it's just like the arcade version of the game with a bunch of characters unlocked. Like if you wanted to spend money, you can unlock the campaign and you can unlock more characters and outfits and all this. But yeah, I still stuck with Hitomi in the 6. She just has all these cool moves. She like has the karate gi. She has a lot of her moves are like realistic looking for the most part, except when she like punches somebody, they fly across the ring. It's like I'm playing a video game for that.
While we're on the topic of Dead or Alive, I only saw it for the first time last month due to a watch party. Did you ever watch the Dead or Alive movie?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have. It was pretty
It's
bad.
super cheesy. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure it was
cheesy.
Paul W.S. Anderson who did the Resident Evil movies. I'm gonna double check on that real quick.
I don't mind
It
those
was.
movies for the most part, except for maybe the last couple.
Let's see
But a
here.
lot of the Resident Evil movies are fine by me, even though I
Oh,
know that they're
okay.
not
I was
canon or
wrong.
anything.
It was directed by Corey Yuen. I have no idea who that is, but yeah, it was very cheesy. It was a great in the like campy B movie sort of way. It was real
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I kind of remember it. I mean, there was a lot of movies back then that were like that, based on games that were just not like Mortal Kombat, for instance.
If I didn't already know it wasn't by him, if you asked me, I would have guessed it was a Uwe Boll movie because he was notorious for putting out terrible video game movies at that time.
Is that what he's known for? I've seen him on like side scrollers.
He's been on side scrollers a couple times. Yeah, he's notorious for having terrible video game adaptation movies. But apparently he didn't do Dead or Alive, but he's done other ones like In the Name of the King. That one had Jason Statham in it. I've never actually seen a Uwe Boll movie. I just know that they're terrible.
Yeah, I'd have to look up a list to see if I've seen any. Probably have.
Let's see here. Oh, I put UW, and the first thing that pops up is Uwe Boll on IMDb. Postal, that's right. Blood Rain. Alone in the Dark. Let's see. These are all newer ones. Let's go back a little bit older. In the Name of the King. More Blood Rain. Rampage, not the one with The Rock, but one from 2009. He did a Far Cry movie, Alone in the Dark. He did a couple Alone in the Dark and a couple Blood Rain movies and a couple of In the Name of the Kings. House of the Dead. Yeah, a lot of really terrible video game adaptations.
Well, he tried.
But okay, all right. Wow, we're already at almost 2 hours, man.
I know.
It's like it happens every time. I'm still surprised by it every time. It's like, how's it already been almost 2 hours?
Well, I'm kind of in my element here, talking about games and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I do here on Open Mic. Is just love talking about video games.
I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of these maps. This is Red Dead 2, Red Dead 1 above that. That's, man, if I can figure out where my fingers are. This is The Witcher 3.
Okay.
The one on this side is Witcher 2. This is Ghost of Tsushima in the middle. It's kind of hard to see with the lighting in here. Nice. And then right over here, that's Grand Theft Auto 5.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna
Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I used to have the big map came with the game, and I just don't know what happened to it.
Oh, bummer. Yeah, I was gonna say I did see those maps. I was like, I'm assuming those are video game maps. I was gonna ask you about it, but I forgot. The one over your right shoulder, assuming that your camera's not flipped. Yeah, that one right there. I was thinking that was an Elder Scrolls map, but because this version of Elder Scrolls, this like the special edition, it came with a map of Cyrodiil, so I thought that might have been what it is. I love when they do
that. Yeah, I love when games come with maps. Like, it's a disappointment that the Witcher ones are small, but I've been trying to find. I remember my cousin, or no, my stepbrother had a really big map from The Witcher 3. I think it was like the special edition or something. I've looked for it a couple times. Didn't find one that looked good because it was kind of all black and white. It would be hard to see
Oh,
in my
yeah.
background here.
Kind of like my shadow box here, because the lighting on the front is too bright. It's really hard to see what it actually is, but it's
Yeah, what
really
is that?
awesome. It's a shadow box where it's got it's like three-dimensional in that it's got slices of paper that are layered in front of each other, and each one's a different
Oh,
shape, so it makes like a kind of like a 3D image.
hmm.
And it's of Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which is my
Okay.
favorite Metroidvania, and that's Ori right there. If you
Yep.
aren't familiar with the Ori franchise, and each corner
Not
has like
so much.
each of the corners have one of the four main bosses from the game, and in the
Hmm.
middle is Ori and the owl that you see on the cover, and some of the other friendly characters. It's really awesome. It's just unfortunately with the lighting, you can't really see it.
Was that like an Xbox exclusive?
Um, I don't believe it's on PlayStation. It was I don't know if it was always an Xbox exclusive, but it's from Moon Studios, which is owned by Microsoft. So it's
Hmm.
mainly a Xbox franchise. But I do know that both Ori games do also exist on Switch.
So
And the Ori and the Blind Forest is the first one, which is a good game, but I think they took everything that Blind Forest did and just made it way better in the sequel, which is Will o' the Wisps. Like I said, it's my favorite Metroidvania of all time.
hmm.
Um,
Well,
but
that's gotta be saying something.
Blind Forest is one of the few games on Switch that has Xbox achievements.
Hmm.
Let's
Now
see
I've
here.
noticed that some games on
Oh,
Steam do as
the Ori
well. Like,
collection with both Ori games is on Steam as well. I did not know that
oh,
until
okay.
just now. But yeah, you can get
Yeah,
it
I'll
on
have to
Steam as
take a
well.
look at it.
I just don't know if it exists on PlayStation. Oh, it's currently on sale for 75% off. So
Hmm.
you could get the bundle for $13, which I highly
Nice.
recommend because they are excellent. So are you much into the Metroidvania genre?
I barely even know what that is. You were saying that Devil May Cry 1 kind of sounds like
Well,
in that
just the map
genre where
design.
it's
It sounds like it has a Metroidvania like map, which
yeah, it is
similar
similar.
to Dark Souls
Not
1.
2D or anything, but yeah. Have you ever played the game Blasphemous?
Yep, that's an excellent 2D Metroidvania.
Yeah, that's probably the closest thing I've gotten in like years. But
I did not
I
like it
kind of
at
enjoy it.
first.
I liked it at first, and then I
Yeah,
just didn't feel like backtracking halfway across this map again.
sounds like we had kind of
That game is
opposite.
like hard though. That game is like it's
It
just
is
like
it is quite difficult.
it's just
But
all survival, like going from one side of the page to the other. You know?
but yeah, I started it and then I wasn't really feeling it. And I put it on the back burner and came back to it like 2 or 3 years later. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to play all the way through it. And then I ended up really enjoying it. And I actually just bought Blasphemous 2 this week. So
Nice.
that's
Yeah, I
in the
know that came
backlog
out. I
now
still
too.
haven't finished the first one. I
That
don't
came
know
out
what I'm
like
stuck on.
earlier this year, maybe. I think it came out late last year. I think it came out about this time last year. But like I said, I'll wait for stuff to go on sale to buy it. And it was on sale for 50% off. So I finally bought Blasphemous 2. I'm looking forward to
Nice.
playing that because, yeah, that is one of the great examples of a 2D Metroidvania that is also a 2D Souls-like.
Yeah, that's the thing about that one is like I could get more into a Metroidvania game if it wasn't so Souls like. Like this is like it's just not easy. Like
Right. Um,
not that I like only easy games. Like I'll go for trophies and stuff if it's a grind or whatever.
yeah,
But
the Ori games are not Souls-like at
sometimes,
all. So I definitely recommend them.
yeah, I'll definitely look into that.
Obviously, Metroidvania came from the fusion of Metroid and Castlevania.
Hmm.
Although the early Castlevania games are not Metroidvanias, they're just action platformers. It was Symphony of the Night was the first one that was actually a Metroidvania, where you have like this open, interconnected map, and
Hmm.
a lot of them, if not all of them, since then have been Metroidvanias. But all the Metroid games, except for Federation Force, which isn't a real Metroid game, but it has the Metroid name on it, are Metroid games. And the 2D and the 3D, which are the Metroid Prime games, are all really good.
Yeah, I
So
really want to get into those. I'll definitely check those out if I ever get Switch. Super Switch.
Yeah, and if you ever stream them, I'll probably be there to watch.
Yeah, as long as I can figure out how to stream them a Switch. I guess it's kind of the same.
If you've got a capture
Well,
card, it's super easy.
I guess you can't really do it with like the Switch Lite. The Switch Lite you can't even plug into your TV or anything. So, but I don't know if maybe there is a special
A
cord.
Switch Lite, yeah, you probably can't since you can't dock it. But if you have a regular Switch, you can, because I've never
Right, you just
streamed my
dock
Switch,
to.
but I do have the ability to stream it.
Mm-hmm. That's
So,
what's up.
all right, and we got someone over on Kick, Carol, saying, "How are you?" Just followed. Well, thank you, appreciate it. I'm doing quite well. We're just about to wrap it up here. So great having a chat with you, Nagirdnal, and talking video games. If like I said, that's what we do here on Open Mic. So if you ever want to come back again and talk video games, just let me know and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, man, this was fun. Usually, like on panel streams, stuff we're all over the place, but when I'm kind of just focusing on one thing, it's not so bad.
Yeah. So anything you want to plug before we bid adieu?
Yeah, well, I stream and I haven't made a video or anything in a while, but I used to clip up stuff because before I started streaming, I would just like record videos on my PlayStation and then send them to YouTube and trim them up and stuff. But now I'm actually streaming on YouTube and Kick, so you can find me there at this name, Nagirdnal, Nagirdnal. And I also, let's see, what's today? Thursday, so
yeah.
Monday.
There it is.
Monday I'll be on with Alec Baldwin's Finger.
On Off the Hip.
Off the Hip. We'll have to get you back on there too, because that's always a fun time.
Yeah, I just started recently doing, like I said, I've been doing Mass Effect Monday once a month, but on the other Mondays that I'm not doing, I'm doing Metroidvania Monday, where I'm playing different Metroidvania games. But I'll definitely have to take a break to get back on Off the Hips at some point, because that's fun.
Yep. And then every Wednesday I do the GCA with Alec Baldwin's Finger and a few other people.
Yeah, I didn't. I preloaded the link to the GCA channel in the stream description, but I just pulled up the link to your personal channel and dropped that in the chat. So
yeah, I think I have links to it there as well. So
if anyone wants to go give him a sub, there is the link.
Yeah, thank you. It was a good time.
Well, yeah, I had a great time as well. I always love talking video games. So and it's that's a super easy thing to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always more to talk about too.
So, all right. Well, thank you for joining me and having a great chat. As for me, I don't have anything over the weekend, but I will be back on Monday for more Metroidvania Monday, where I will be continuing my playthrough of Metroid Zero Mission, which I started not this last Monday, but the Monday before. Since this Monday was Mass Effect Monday, the last Metroidvania Monday was last week's Monday, and I started off with Metroid Zero Mission, which is a official Nintendo remake of the original Metroid. So I'm basically going to be doing a full playthrough of the whole original series of games, which is Metroid 1, 2, Metroid Super Metroid, which is Metroid 3, Metroid Fusion, which is Metroid 4, and then Metroid Dread, which is Metroid 5. So I decided I'm going to play through all of those, and then after I get through all that for Metroidvania Monday, we'll jump around to other Metroidvania games. So nice. I figured that'd be a great way to start off the launching of this series of Monday streams. So
yeah,
and then next Tuesday will be the next episode of Party Chat, and my good buddy Fractured Filter is going to be the guest host. So
sweet.
With that, Nagirdnal, thanks for joining me and having a great chat, and everyone who showed up in chat.
Thanks for having me.
Christian, Carol, Yanu, Nerd Takes, and Vanquish. Great seeing you guys. We will talk to you all later, everyone, and have a great night. In the meantime, game on.
Yep.